Hey, J-Bo Nation! Shaming of Jay. He's not a dopey dumb bitch. He gets laid. The court jester. The court DJ. It's time to dive into the case. To the case.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for being here. You'll be shocked to know that Court TV does not have a feed up yet. However, I do have a different feed up, which I would prefer not to use if we can get the Court TV one, so I'll keep an eye on that. Thank you, Mandy, for reminding me to update the name on the Kick stream, which I did. And thank you, Mandy, who created the red hand emoji. Thank you for creating that. We also have two other emojis on Kick. I'm just limited to the amount of custom I can't add more emojis on YouTube until I get more members. So there's two more that are on Kick right now. Thank you so much for doing that, Mandy. I also set up a prompt for, let's make sure this all, I don't know if the bot is up yet. Let's see. I don't think it is, but we'll see. All right, who's here? Who's here? My mom is on Kick. Hi, Mom. Watches Charlotte, Afy, Karen, Suzanne, Pokemom, Lily Pauly, Tanya, Cammy Q, Deja, Donnie. Did I say Charlotte? What's a shot? Holly Berry, Rachel K, Cindy, Tanya, Catherine, Mandy, MJ, Mooney, Tiff Knox, Todd. Yes, let's hope they fix the audio, but I am not super confident, excuse me, that they did. Elizabeth Whitney, thanks for being here. Elizabeth L, Deja, Jonathan, Mooney, Dave, Aphion Kick, KJ, Sarah, Melissa Del Barker, Sky Troop. Kick is up, by the way, Sky Troop. I think you prefer it over there. Sherry Marshall, Paulie 3. I think I got Holly Berry. I know I did. Sheila Duffy. Thanks for being here. Jen Pookie. All right, guys. It hasn't started yet. So he definitely told them to be there today at 8:30 their time, which is now my time. They're 4 hours behind us. The question is, did he mean just get here and we'll start at like 9 o'clock their time? I don't know. So I'm keeping an eye on it. Keeping an eye on Court TV to see if they update this feed, but it's not up yet on Court TV. I do have the Alaska News site, which has a feed for it, but it hasn't started yet. Mia is here. Thanks for being here. Cindy, hello. Mimi27, hello. BZ49, hello. Thank you all so much for being here, and everyone who hopped on the two unplanned streams this morning, thanks for being here. Good morning, AC. Did my prompt work, or is the bot not up yet? Let's see. Is Stream Elements up yet? It should be. Let's see if it worked. Did it not work? Hey, KT. MMIW. Come on, work, bot. Sarah, we watched the rest of Direct of Pavel and a little of Redirect. Come on, bot. What are you doing, Stream Elements? It was working earlier today, and now it's not working. It'll work soon, hopefully. Hey, Tiff Knox on Kick. Thanks for following us over there. What's up, JD? Mandy says, why red? In many tribes, red is known to be the only color that the spirits see. By wearing red, we hope to call back the missing spirits of our women and children. Hashtag MMIW. Thank you, Mandy. Oh, there's Botrix. Botrix finally woke up. Now Stream Elements needs to get its shit together. Why is Stream Elements doing my timed ones? Thank you, Elizabeth. It hasn't started yet, guys. I'm keeping an eye out. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Court TV still doesn't have a feed up. I wonder if they're starting in like 20 minutes. 20 minutes, which means I have to vamp. Is that what they call it? Vamping? But I'll show you what I'm looking at. Squaducial. So I won't miss it. I'd prefer to watch it here, but if I have to. Good day, B Rabbit from the east coast of Australia. All right, so link just worked. Now this should work. Come on. It's a little chilly in here, Charlotte. It's a little chilly. By the way, for folks who have asked, I will not be covering the Adam Montgomery trial. We have been pretty consistent that we don't cover trials with kids. I don't know if I could do it. I'm not going to say that's never, but Mandy gifted out a sub. Let's see who gets it. Hopefully, Cammy Q. KT, nice. KT got it. Thank you so much, Mandy. You rock. Thank you. Hello from Alberta. Hello, Mom P.
Because I'm going to bunk with you, buddy. We're going to be buddies. We're going to be pals. We're going to wrestle around.
Let me put the chat on the screen. Move this over here. All the things I forget to do. KT, there you go. Joanne's gifted on a membership. Who gets it? Tanya Malone. Thank you so much. Let me, if this better work. Thank you so much, Joanne. You are awesome. Welcome, Tanya.
Because I'm going to bunk with you, buddy. We're going to be buddies. We're going to be pals. We're going to wrestle around.
Guys, make sure, I just shared this link. Make sure you click on this and make sure that the allow gifts is on. Otherwise, you can't receive a gift. So, and I think you have to do it for each channel. So make sure you have that on that link that I just shared. I'm going to try this again. Come on. What did I do wrong? I know I have this as a command. There it is. There it is, folks. If you want to check out the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center, NIWRC, there it is. So if anyone ever wants to see that, that's the prompt is !MMIW. If you want to check that out. Shannon and I have discussed potentially seeing if we can get someone on from there to maybe come up on during the trial or maybe come on during one of Shannon's psych sessions. We're going to work on that to see if we can get someone to talk about getting more awareness regarding the issue at hand. I'm going to have to let's see. Still no feed. Still no feed. All right, see you, MJ. Hey, Miss Dina, good to see you. Deja gifting out a membership. Let's see who gets it. Cammy Q gets it. Nice. Thank you, Deja.
Because I'm going to bunk with you, buddy. We're going to be buddies. We're going to be pals. We're going to wrestle around.
Lisa just ordered some stickers from the merch, so I just saw that. Lisa, thank you so much. Stacy's here. Mooney's here. Tanya, Karen. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for buying all these memberships. Let me see how many memberships I need to get some more emojis on the YouTube machine. Although it lied to me last time, but let me see. What's up, Groot? KJ, make sure you have the memberships on if you want to get gifted one. Let's see. Memberships. Customize default perks. Emoji. 22 more members. Damn. Do you guys want to see? I'll show you how many you need. It's wild. So in order to get, while we're waiting here for this trial to start, Kick, you can get emojis right away. You don't even need members. Not YouTube, though. They have their own agenda. Look at this shit. I'll show you what you need to get like more emojis. Right now I have, how many emojis do I have? I have 21 maybe, I think. Or I have 21. In order to get 22, I need 350 members. How many members do I have? So I had to remove some. I have 318 members, so that makes sense. It's wild how little they give you emojis based on how many people you have. Hey, Helen, good to see you. Hey, Blair. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Lisa. Thank you so much. All right, guys, we're still, but if you're ever wondering how many members you need to get emojis, that's the deal. And right now we have 318 members, so. All right, anyway. Still nothing here. Why? I'm a very prompt person. I don't like when things are not on time. Like my wife. Just kidding, babe. If you're listening, you're always on time. Hi, Roberta. Hey, Carrie28. Spitfire. Thank you so much, Spitfire. Capri Sun's out.
Because I'm going to bunk with you, buddy. We're going to be buddies. We're going to be pals. We're going to wrestle around.
Welcome, Spitfire. Thank you so much. Grab your Capri Suns. Where is the feed, Core TV? What are we doing? What are we doing? That is true, Mooney. They do start on time. Yes, don't forget to change from top chat to live chat on the old YouTube if you don't want to miss anything. By the way, apparently Adam Montgomery decided to just not show up in court today. Apparently you don't have to go if you don't want to. Piece of garbage. Piece of trash. Hey, Ashley, thanks for being here. No, not forensic files. We don't need a Ronald Tunkel. Thank you so much, Spitfire. Appreciate that. That emoji, aspiring Sarah, is because one time Donnie said Jesus crust. So that's Jesus in a pie crust. It's the one from Dogma, which, by the way, if you never saw Dogma, what a great film. What a great movie. Oh, my Lanta Spitfire gifting out 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Ashley gets one. KJ gets one. 7 gets one. Tara gets one. Sarah Graham gets one. Thank you so much. That was so kind, Spitfire. Thank you. Thank you.
Because I'm going to bunk with you, buddy. We're going to be...
All right, Chris is going to dance a while, but I'm not going to keep the audio on each time. That was so nice. Thank you. You are all so generous. That is true, Elizabeth. Very generous. We love new members. Spreading the bow love. By the way, I haven't been... Amanda says, I'm new to this channel. Sure, I absolutely... First of all, thanks for coming over from Bob's channel. Bob is my brother from another mother. If possible, I could tell you. All right, folks, so here's the deal regarding this case. This man, Brian Smith, I can read this article, I guess. So there's 14 counts of murder, first and second degree, against 2 victims, Kathleen Jo Henry and Veronica Abochuk. He strangled Henry in a hotel room in September 2019. And how they found out about that is because a woman stole a memory card, a woman that he was, I don't know if he was on like a date with this. Let me see if it says here. Smith was connected to the murders 4 years ago after a woman told police she took an SD card from the center console center console of Smith's truck while he was allegedly getting money out of an ATM to pay for a date with her. All right, so they got date in quotes if you want to infer what they're talking about. Smith was connected to the murders. She got an SD card from the center console of Smith's truck while he was allegedly getting money out of an ATM to pay for a date with her. The memory card contained gruesome photos and videos spanning 5 days, including the brutal beating and strangulation of a woman later identified as Henry. In the video, the attacker could be heard speaking in a thick South African accent before sneaking Henry's blanket-covered body outside on a luggage cart, saying, "In my movies, everybody always dies. What are my followers going to think of me? People need to know when they are being serial killed." When the woman turned over the stolen memory card a week later, court documents said police recognized that voice of Brian Stephen Smith, a South African native they knew from a previous investigation. Here's the question I have for you. What was that previous investigation? Does anyone know? I haven't heard anything. Skytroop says, Mrs. Skytroop is working from home today and sends her regards. Hi, Mrs. Skytroop. She also wants to know if Jay's got his ears lowered. I sure did. I bit the bullet and I fought my anxiety and I went and got my butter whip today. All right, so that's only the first half, folks. While being interrogated for Henry's death, Smith reportedly confessed to the murder of a Bochuk. And what he said was, I think the detectives were leaving the room, and he's like, "You guys are leaving already?" And he's like, "I'm going to make you guys famous. They're going to burn me anyway for this case, so I'm going to tell you about this other case." And that is Veronica Bochuk, and he led them to that body. And now apparently they're going to argue that this confession wasn't real and that there was no DNA in the hotel room that matched Kathleen Henry. Oh, okay. So folks are saying he was accused of SA with a 13-year-old. Thank you, Mooney. Thank you, guys. So, there we are, folks. Oh, butter whipped is, if you don't know what butter whipped is, Bob Mata, he introduced me to this term that apparently women in Chicago, I don't know about other places, but they say they're getting their butter whipped. And it's normally meant as when for when a woman gets a haircut, but Bob has claimed it for us and I've been using it. I got my butter whipped. And yes, for folks who don't know, I go to this Turkish barber and they take fire and they like put it on my ears to burn the hair on my ears. That's something. Hey, Dizzy. Hey, Tony. Thanks for being here, everyone. We're just waiting, folks. I assume they should be starting any minute now. Court TV, of course, does not have a feed up yet. Oh, just I guess I'm gonna watch it on here. Someone tell me, please, if Court TV goes live, please. All right, this is what I'm gonna do. Are you kidding me right now with this shit? Are you fucking kidding me with this shit right now? Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me with this shit. This is supposed to be for open access to the public because the public has a right to hear these hearings and to watch these hearings. And the fact that they can't get this right really pisses me off. I understand, Mom. Thanks for being here. This is an absolute joke. What a travesty. Are you kidding me? Well, I'll keep it here for now until hopefully something changes. I don't know. I don't know what else to do. Sorry, guys. Could be, Sherry. Could be. What's up, Steve? Guys, if you're coming in late, I got no audio. This is all I got. Court TV doesn't even have a feed. No, you haven't missed anything, Steve. At least that we can hear. Court TV doesn't even have a freaking feed of this. And I will just warn you guys, all our trials are usually trigger warnings, but especially this one, so just be aware. I mean, this seems like they're bringing in the jury, so what the hell, man? Come on. Hey guys, if you're coming in late, we got no audio. I don't know what to do. Jordan Stevenson says it's just muted. Give it a minute. Okay.
We have a Cambodian interpreter.
Yes, sir.
Over here, sir.
No need.
Thanks, Jordan. Sorry, guys.
We have a Cambodian interpreter on the phone, and the first thing we're going to do is swear him in.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please raise your right hand.
Yes, Your Honor.
Not you, not yet. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will accurately translate Cambodian into English and English into Cambodian at this hearing to the best of your ability?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'm going to direct that each speaker pause after each sentence to allow for translation. Translate, please.
Yes. ខ្ញុំឲ្យអ្នកនិយាយមានមួយនិយាយឲ្យកុំឲ្យខ្លីដើម្បីឲ្យមានអ្នកបកប្រែជូន
That means that after a question is answered, there also needs to be a pause to allow for translation.
មានន័យថាក្រោយពីសំណួរហើយសូមមេត្តាឈប់មួយផ្លែសិនដើម្បីឲ្យអ្នកបកប្រែសំណួរនោះ
បាទ All right, sir. Now it's your turn. Please stand, raise your right hand, and we'll swear you in.
ឥឡូវបងក្រោកឈរលើកដៃស្ដាំដើម្បីស្ពតណាបងណា Yes.
solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony given in the case now before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
យើងលើកដៃស្ពតសេចក្ដីប្រតិធានថាធ្វើសកម្មកម្មតាក់ស្ដីនៅក្នុងតុលាការថ្ងៃនេះនិយាយទៅការពិតគ្មានអ្វីក្រៅពីការពិត
Thank you. Please be
Yes.
and please spell
អង្គុយបងអង្គុយ
the record. And please spell your last name for the record.
សម្រាប់កំណត់ហេតុសរសេរឈ្មោះតកូលយើងបង
ឈ្មោះខ្ញុំlast name ខ្ញុំមាស MEAS Con
My last name is spelled MEAS
Con KHAN
Khan KHAN first name
You may question the witness.
Good morning, Mr. Mia.
អរុនសួស្ដីលោកមាស
បាទ
Yes
Can you tell us what part of Alaska you live in?
ប្រាប់គាត់បានទេថាម្ដុំណានៅ Alaska បងរស់នៅបង
ខ្ញុំនៅ Anchorage នៅផ្លូវចិត្តនេះនៅ Anchorage
I live in Anchorage in this road
And I want to take you back to April of 2019.
គាត់ចង់រំលឹកបងត្រឡប់ទៅក្រោយខែ4 2019
បាទ
Yes
Which were back when you and your friend were berry picking.
ពេលបងហើយនឹងពួកម៉ាបងឯងហ្នឹងបេះផ្លែឈើតូចៗ
មិនមែនបែបផ្លែឈើទេកាលហ្នឹងវាតកកធ្លាក់ហ្នឹងខ្ញុំទៅដល់រកmushroom chaka
No at that time there was snow so we were looking for mushrooms
Okay. Did you while berry picking, what part of town were you berry picking?
គេថា berry picking បេះផ្លែឈើតូចៗហ្នឹងនៅក្នុងភូមិអីបងពេលហ្នឹង
ខ្ញុំអត់ដឹងភូមិអីតាមផ្លូវហ្នឹងទៅមកដុំផ្លូវទៅវ៉ាសាឡាហ្នឹងតប៉ុន្តែនៅជិតជើងភ្នំ
I don't know what town but it's the route is on the way to West Silla at the edge of the mountain
And while you were looking for mushrooms, did you find anything else besides mushrooms?
ពេលបងឯងរកផ្សត់បង mushroom ផ្សត់ណាតើបានឃើញអីផ្សេងទៀតទេ
ខ្ញុំទៅរកផ្សិតហ្នឹងថ្ងៃហ្នឹងខ្ញុំរកអត់បានទេព្រោះអីគេពួកគេរកអស់មុនខ្ញុំទៅដល់ពេលខ្ញុំដើរទៅក៏ជួបក្បាលមួយ
At that time we were looking for mushroom but I could not find any mushroom because somebody else already picked them before me so while we kept walking we saw a head
Can you describe what you saw?
បរិយាយបានទេបានឃើញស្អីគេ
ខ្ញុំឃើញបងប្អូនផខ្ញុំគេឃើញក្បាលហ្នឹងគេថាគេហៅខ្ញុំបងឯងមកមើលក្បាលអីគេនេះធំហ៎ដល់ខ្ញុំក៏ក្រោយទៅវិញទៅ
My god brother my younger god brother exclaimed to me big brother what is this and then I did not say anything we kept backing away
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last part, Mr. Interpreter.
we kept backing away
Okay, thank you. Why did you back away?
តែបានថយក្រោយ
ខ្ញុំដើរចេញហើយបានបងខ្ញុំថាបាយមកមើលសិនមកក្បាលឬក្បាលសត្វអីធំហ៎
I was walking but my younger god brother kept insisting let's look at it what is this the head is so big what is it let's look
And did you end up looking at what it was?
អញ្ចឹងបងបានមើលក្បាលហ្នឹងថាស្អីគេចឹង
ដល់ពេលខ្ញុំបកក្រោយមកខ្ញុំឈប់អើតមើលខ្ញុំអត់ហ៊ានយកដៃប៉ះទេ
At that time, I did return. I looked at it. I did not dare to touch it with my fingers.
ដល់ពេលខ្ញុំមើលចុះមើលឡើងចឹងទៅបានខ្ញុំទៅប្រាប់ប្អូនធေါ်ខ្ញុំថាអានេះមិនមែនក្បាលសត្វទេអូនក្បាលនេះគឺក្បាលមនុស្ស
I looked at it. I kept looking at it, and then I told my younger god brother. I said, "No, young brother, this is not an animal's head. This is a human's head."
What did you do then?
ពេលហ្នឹងបានធ្វើអីទៀតបន្តមកទៀត
បន្ទាប់មកក៏ខ្ញុំដើរចេញមកវិញមកព្រោះប្អូនហ្នឹងក៏ខ្លាច
Afterward, I walked away. My younger brother also was afraid.
ហើយផុតពីហ្នឹងមកបានខ្ញុំចាប់ផ្ដើមខលប៉ូលីស
And afterward, I called police.
Did you wait until the police arrived?
តើបងបានរងចាំទៅដល់ប៉ូលីសគេមកកន្លែងកើតហេតុ
ប៉ូលីសគេខ្ញុំខលទៅក៏ប៉ូលីសសួរថាអាស្រ័យທາງកន្លែងណាអីកន្លែងណាកន្លែង address នៅណាខ្ញុំថាខ្ញុំអត់ដឹងទេ
The police asked me what's the address, what's the location. I just told the officer that I don't know where it is.
ហើយបានប៉ូលីសហ្នឹងគេប្រាប់ខ្ញុំថាកុំអោយដាក់ទូរស័ព្ទចុះហើយគិតនិយាយមួយគេទៅដល់គេនឹងរកខ្ញុំឃើញហើយ
Police told me, please don't hang up your phone. Just keep talking with us. We will find you.
And did they find you?
គេបានរកមកឲ្យឃើញ
បាទរកខ្ញុំឃើញបានតែជា 5-10 minuit ក្រោយមកប៉ូលីសមកដល់
They did find us about 15 minutes later. They arrived.
And did you take them to where you found the skull?
ពេលនេះបងឯងយកភ្នាក់ងារនគរបាលហ្នឹងទៅមើលកន្លែងក្បាលហ្នឹង
បាទដល់ពេលអញ្ចឹងទៅគេសួរខ្ញុំថានៅកន្លែងណាខ្ញុំថាមានចាំកន្លែងនេះខ្ញុំថាខ្ញុំចាំអញ្ចឹងបើ Go ahead.
Yeah, they asked me, do you see a place? I said, I do.
I'm sorry, Mr. Interpreter, could you repeat that last part?
Yes, do you remember the place? I said, yes, I do.
Okay. And then did you take them there?
បានយកពួកគាត់ទៅកន្លែងហ្នឹងណា បាទខ្ញុំជូនគាត់ទៅខ្ញុំសារបងខ្ញុំឲ្យទៅពីរនាក់វាថាវាអត់ទៅវាខ្លាចវាអត់ទៅឲ្យខ្ញុំទៅតែឯងចុះជូនប៉ូលីសទៅតែឯងចុះ And at that time I did take them to the place. My younger god brother was afraid, so he did not go with us.
I believe you said that neither you or your younger god brother touched the skull. Is that correct?
បងបាននិយាយដោយថាខ្លួនបងផ្ទាល់ហើយនឹងប្អូនធေါ်យើងនឹងអត់បានប៉ះក្បាលនឹងទេតើហ៎ Yeah អត់បានប៉ះ That's correct. That we did not touch.
Thank you, Mr. Me. That's all the questions I have for you.
អរគុណលោកមាសសំណួរខ្ញុំមានតែប៉ុណ្្នឹងឯងសម្រាប់លោក ខ្ញុំអរគុណគាត់ច្រើនដែរ Thank you thanks to you also.
Mr. Air will probably have some questions for you now.
លោកមេធាវីអេប្រហែលមានសំណួរខ្លះសម្រាប់បងណាបងណា បាទ Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Me.
អរុនសួស្ដីបងមាស
So on direct, I think you said you got to a mushroom picking area and didn't find any mushrooms.
បងបានមេធាវីសួរមិញថាបងទៅរកសិតហើយពេលនេះនៅតំបន់ហ្នឹងអត់បានសិតអីទេបាទអត់បានដាក់កាត់តកកជ្រៅចងងាប់ហើយ That's correct. We did not find any mushroom. The snow was deep.
Now, was that a normal area you would have expected to find mushrooms? Had you been there before?
នេះជាកន្លែងធម្មតាបងទៅរកផ្សិតហើយធម្មតាទៅកន្លែងតំបន់ហ្នឹងទៅរកខ្ញុំអត់ដែរទៅបងដាក់លើកទី1ដែលខ្ញុំទៅកន្លែងហ្នឹង I've never been to that area. That was the first time we've gone there.
And again, correct me if I'm wrong. Did it seem like there were simply no mushrooms there, or it had been picked out?
How is this relevant?
គាត់ខុសតើម្ដុំនឹងមានផ្សិតឬក៏អត់មានផ្សិតដោយសារគេបេះអស់ហើយ
Khi bé oi với những bé mushroom chaka mushroom nên dùng mà thử tại pháp các bé khai tự chẹo.
They already picked all the mushroom. I went there to pick chaka mushroom to make tea because of the cold weather.
So somebody had already picked the mushrooms that thought had been there.
មានន័យថាអ្នកពីមុននឹងគេបានបេះសត្វអស់ហើយមុនយើងនឹង Yes. Yes, they did already pick all the mushrooms.
And like you said, sorry. This was the first time you had been to this area.
ជាលើកដំបូងបងបានទៅទីតាំងតំបន់ហ្នឹងបាទលើកទី1របស់ខ្ញុំមកចូលទៅ Yes. My first time I went to that area.
So, for example, the skull you saw that day, you don't know where it had been the day prior.
ជាទីហោដូចថាក្បាលមនុស្សដែលបងបានឃើញហ្នឹងមួយថ្ងៃមុនហ្នឹងបងមិនដឹងនៅណាទេក្បាលហ្នឹងបានដឹងនៅណាទៅក្បាលមនុស្សការវាស្នូច្រើនក៏ប៉ុន្តែក្បាលមនុស្សនោះប្រហែលជាសត្វគោយកទៅដាក់គុំដាក់ជើងបានក្បាលមនុស្សវាអត់ប៉ះទៅស្នូបាននឹងរកឃើញបងបានឃើញ I think maybe animals on animal pull away the head underneath that tree. Maybe that's the reason I saw it.
And you didn't see any other bones around it?
ហើយឃើញឆ្អឹងផ្សេងៗនៅម្ដុំហ្នឹងដែរអត់មាន No.
That's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome. Correct.
I do not have any other questions.
Then you're done, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
គាត់ចប់ហើយបងតែប៉ុណ្្នឹងឯង Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Master Interpreter, for your help.
Thank you very much, Honor. Greeting from California.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Greetings from California.
We're done.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
Dave may call your next witness.
The state calls Trooper Ryan Anderson. I don't know if that turned it on.
If you're on YouTube, if you could hit that
Please
like
remain
button.
standing, raise your right hand, and we'll swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony will give in the case now before this court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please be seated and please state.
It's Ryan Anderson, RyanAnderson.
Good morning, Trooper Anderson.
Good morning.
Where do you work?
State Trooper out in Palmer.
And how long have you worked there?
I've been with the troopers for 12 years at the end of this month.
What's some of the training and experience that you have received to become a trooper and after being a trooper?
I started my career at the Public Safety Academy down in Sitka. At the time, it was a 16-week training academy, live-in. And then after graduating that academy, I attended a 3-week Trooper Basic Academy. That was basically all the training required in order to get my police certificate. After leaving the academy, I did my field training in the Palmer area, and I was stationed there for 2.5 years on patrol. And then I've had various assignments since then.
So you're currently assigned to the Palmer detail?
Correct.
Okay. And were you assigned to the Palmer detail back in 2019?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Did you respond to an area on the Old Glen Highway on April 10th, 2019?
I did.
And what was the nature of the response as you were aware of what the call out was for?
Our dispatch advised that someone had located a human skull in the woods just north of the highway.
And at the time, what was your position at the troopers?
At the time, I was the rank of trooper, and I was assigned to what was called the Palmer Criminal Suppression Unit, which was a subset of patrol where we did proactive investigations within basically felony crimes, so property crimes and other felony crimes.
So would you be considered a supervisor in that kind of role?
At the time I was at the rank of trooper, I promoted about 7 months after this incident.
Okay. As the rank of trooper, who was responsible for who was called out that day and who responded?
So I responded as well as Sergeant Covey. Sergeant Covey was doing some enforcement in the Knik River area that day. I think we were the only 2 uniformed troopers that responded.
So you and Sergeant Covey responded. What did you see and do upon your arrival?
So Sergeant Covey had arrived before me and contacted the complainant. And when I arrived, Sergeant Covey advised that, basically told me where the skull would be located. And so I walked out in the woods to go find it.
What area of Alaska are we talking about?
So this is about mile 4 of the Old Glen Highway. That's just south of Palmer and just east of the main Glen Highway. It's just right near the Knik River, and it's also right next to the Eklutna Tail Race for those that are familiar with that area.
How far would you say the skull was from the road?
It was probably about 100 yards or so, maybe a little bit more.
And do you, based on your arrival, was it something you would be able to see from the road where you parked?
Oh, you could not see it from the road, no.
Okay. So Trooper or Sergeant Covey told you the general area, or did he walk you back there, or did you both go together?
I just walked back there.
Okay.
He stayed at the road.
Okay. And did he meet Mr. Mees and his companion?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Was Sergeant Covey the one that actually got there before you? Is that, I think, what you said?
Correct.
Okay. And Judge, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Okay.
For folks coming in late, our awesome mod Mandy with 13 M's created the hand emoji that's on YouTube.
I've given you what's been marked as states exhibits 1 through 9. Do you recognize those?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And just generally, what are those pictures of?
So exhibits 1 through 6 are photographs that I took of the skull when I arrived on the location. And then 7, 8, and 9 are essentially Google map images of the area, as well as number 9 has our search and rescue cadaver dog efforts.
Okay. And are those exhibits fair or true and accurate representation of what you saw that day and the involvement that the troopers had in this case?
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to move to publish states exhibits 1 through 9.
Any objection? They're admitted and you may publish.
Apparently, I forgot the word admit and then publish. So I'd like to move to admit and then publish.
They're admitted and you may publish.
Thank you, Judge. Let's look at first at exhibit number 1.
Okay.
That's working. Yeah. What are we looking at here in exhibit number 1?
So this is the wooded area, and basically when I first saw the skull as I was walking into the woods.
Okay. And we're gonna move then to exhibit, now it's working, or is that you? You did that. Okay, okay. Exhibit number 2.
This is just as I approached a little closer.
At the point that you approached the skull, were you aware of either did you touch it before or move it in any way before you started taking photos?
No.
And did Sergeant Covey touch it in any way before you started taking photos of it?
No, I don't think you've been back there yet.
Okay. Going to go to now exhibit number 3.
Just a closer photo as I was getting closer.
Okay. And then exhibit number 4.
Number 4 is myself holding a ruler or a scale up to the skull.
And why do you do that?
Since photos are hard to tell like definition of size. It just gives a reference to the size of the item that we're photographing.
Okay. Number 6. I'm sorry, number 5.
Number 5 is now I'm manipulating the skull, and I believe this is the bottom, essentially, of the skull, looking up at the upper jaw.
And then number 6.
At this point, I had turned the skull to the other side, so we're looking at the left side.
Did you notice anything in particular about the skull at this point?
It's hard to tell in this photo, but in the center of the skull, there's a large leaf, and then just in front of that, if you will, there's a hole in the skull.
So there's a picture up on the TV behind you.
Yeah.
Can you point to kind of the area that you're talking about?
If you want a pointer, there's one there.
I think I can reach for this one.
Okay, so towards the front, there's several leaves on the skull, but for the record, it's the leaf closest to the front of the head, and then there's a hole just to the lower left of that leaf. Is that inaccurate?
Yes.
Okay, placement of the hole. To get a better idea of the area that we're talking about, here is exhibit number 7. Can you describe for us what this is?
This is just looks like a Google type image of the area. This would be just west of the location where the skull was located. And in this photo, you can see the Eklutna tail race and the Eklutna power plant, which are pretty popular landmarks in the area.
And then slide number 8.
This would be a similar photo, but to the east of the last photo. You can still see the power plant there in the middle. And this would be the area in which the skull was located.
Are you able to point on this particular map what area of the skull or area where the skull was located?
Yes. Grab a pointer. Right in this area.
Okay, so we're kind of just a little bit to the right of the middle of the photo.
Correct.
Okay. So the troopers, you were involved in the response to this investigation. At some point, you said you became a sergeant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. When you become a sergeant, do you take on more responsibility?
I do.
And what does that responsibility include?
So in addition to all the roles a trooper would have, such as investigating crimes and responding to calls for service, managing search and rescues and whatnot, I also supervise troopers now on patrol that are engaged in those activities.
Did you officially become assigned to this particular case?
I was assigned to this case up until about October of 2019.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about what the response was then after this skull was located. What did the troopers do? So
I had seized the skull and submitted it to the state medical examiner's office for identification purposes. And then I worked with our Bureau of Investigation to basically coordinate efforts in locating the rest of the body. We utilized volunteer search and rescue workers that have canines that are trained in searching for cadavers.
Did, based on that, what kind of efforts did the troopers make to look for additional remains?
I believe we had done quite a few days of various searches where dogs had gone out into the area looking for further human remains.
And was that shortly after these were found?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall off the top of your head the time frame for when that occurred?
I want to say it was within the 2 weeks of finding the skull initially.
And what is the date that you actually responded to this particular call?
I believe it was April 10th.
Of
2019.
Okay. So you sent the remains off to the medical examiner's office. Did the medical examiner's office keep in contact with you about whether or not they were able to identify the remains, if they were asking for additional information from you?
They were doing their efforts to identify the skull. They were cross-referencing missing person cases in their efforts. They had contacted me a couple of times just asking for any names or knowledge that I might have of missing persons in that area. We had provided them with a list of names, and I believe ultimately all the names that we provided were not matches to the skull.
Were you aware of the efforts of the medical examiner's office made in attempts to identify the skull in terms of sending it off for further analysis?
At this point, we approach.
You may.
Oh, we have an approach, folks. If you're new to the channel, we do shots when they do sidebars. Coffee, alcohol, weed, we don't care. Did I say water? Water? By the way, while I went to check on the dogs, Joanne found, not Joanne, legal mama Jan found this tidbit. Found this in 2018, the defendant confessed to numerous murders in both South Africa and in Alaska to a woman who told police in 2018, and the woman unalived herself in 2021. That's pretty wild.
As your investigation remained open, were you kept informed periodically from the medical examiner's office as to what might be happening in efforts to try and identify the skull?
Yes, I received emails from the medical examiner's office.
Okay. Was there a point in 2019 when the troopers returned to this area and did additional searching?
I believe the Alaska Bureau of Investigation had. I was not involved in that particular effort.
Okay. So I want to show you last exhibit number 9. And you talked about some of the efforts that the search and rescue had done to identify or locate additional remains. There's a lot of, can you tell us what we're looking at in this particular picture?
So in this picture, it's basically an overlay of the last exhibit we saw. And in this picture, you can see a bunch of basically colored squiggly lines. These lines represent GPS trackers that are placed on the dogs with the search and rescue team to track where they actually had walked and searched.
Okay, one moment. When you initially were providing names of missing information to the medical office for potential identification means, was one of those individuals named Veronica that you provided to the medical examiner's office?
We did not provide that name, no.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have for Sergeant Anderson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fence my question if you have any.
No cross check.
You're done. Thank you.
Thank you.
No questions. That's amazing. Gotta give defense attorney credit. Doesn't just ask questions to hear his own voice, like show and douche nozzle.
Take me call your next witness.
We expected Dr. Rolfe at 10, but this is Christie Grimaldi.
Christie Grimaldi. This is going to be a tough. Let's try to spell this
Please
out.
come up here next to me, ma'am. Yeah, watch out for that hazard there.
I'm going to be way off, but here's my guess.
Morning. Standing, raise your right hand and swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in the case now before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please be seated. Please state your name and spell your last name correctly.
My name is Christie Grimaldi. That's Grimaldi.
Whenever you're ready, counsel.
Thank you. Ms. Grimaldi, I'm going to have you introduce yourself to the jury. Who are you? Where do you live?
I'm a resident of Big Lake, Alaska. I grew up in the Valley, some in Anchorage. My mother, I'm sorry, what was the other question?
Well, let's start with that. How are you related to this case? Why are you here today?
Veronica Bouchek is my mother. I'm her oldest daughter.
How many siblings do you have?
There are 4 of us.
Okay. And you're the oldest?
Second oldest.
Second oldest daughter?
Yes.
Okay. And does she have do you have a large extended family, aunts and uncles?
Yes.
Okay.
I grew up with my father mainly on my dad's side. I did have a relationship with my mom my whole life. But I mainly grew up with my father's family.
Tell me about your mom's family. How many brothers and sisters does she have?
I know she has a lot of sisters. I didn't meet, well, I met them at a young age. I know we had went to the village when I was real little. But my more memorable meetings with my aunties were when I was early teens. Sorry.
Sure. And when you say the village, where did your mom grow up?
I know she's from St. Michael's. And I want to say Stebbins is real close to that. That's where our family lives now.
And what was your contact like with your mom in the last few years of her life? Was it constant or sporadic or something else?
I'm a single mother and I dedicate my time to my boys. I saw my mom as much as I could, but it, was here or there.
Was there a time in 2016 that she tried to live with you for a little while?
I had my youngest in 2016, and forgive me, my memory is really bad, but I had her try to live with me in 2016 sometime. It was very difficult for her, and I don't know exactly why, but she couldn't stay. I just remember her saying, I have to go. I'm like, Mom, where are you going to go? And so we both shared our frustration. I even tried keeping things of hers to try to get her to stay. And for some reason, she just couldn't handle that setting. And I may have spoken to her in 2007, but it's really hard to recall.
When you say 7, do you mean 17?
2017, sorry, yeah.
Okay, and there are tissues right to your immediate right if you need them. So after she moved out in 2016, you may have spoken to her in 2017, is that correct?
Yeah, I can't remember. And if I did, it was very brief. And I want to say there was still that frustration between us.
Would she check in with her other family as far as?
Oh, yeah, I made contact with family just to make sure, hey, have you seen Mom? And I remember seeing a photo in 2017 with my aunt, Margaret.
At some point, Well, after your mom left your home, do you know where she was living?
No, I had spoke to another family member and it was hard for him to recall, but there was a point where she was doing relatively well and had her own place. I believe she had assistance from some state or organization where they may have had like an efficiency for her.
When she didn't have her own place, would she essentially couch surf with family?
Yeah, she had lots of good friends. One in particular, she would stay with. Yeah.
Were there periods of time that you were aware she was staying outside?
Yeah, I remember talking to my mother, and I want to say some sort of church found her, and I remember talking to her and it being a lighthearted conversation with her, but her explaining, you know, that this woman came to find her outside, and whether it was giving her warm clothes or a place to stay, you know, that was her lifestyle. Yeah, she would struggle.
And when you talk about her struggles, we don't have to get into too many details, but did she struggle with addiction?
Oh, yes. I later learned about a tragic event of her times in the village as a kid. And, you know, as a kid, I really didn't understand why or how my mother was, but as an adult, I just really felt for her. And she would even speak about, you know, going to treatment and it not being a good experience for her.
When you say going to treatment, was that for alcohol?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is yes?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. No, you're fine. We just have to make a clear record. At some point, did you make the decision to report your mom as missing?
So was that 2019? I believe I filed a report. I know before I filed the report, we looked for her. There were lots of confusion and frustration of maybe seeing her from family friends. There was also an instance, and please forgive me, I don't remember if that was 2017 or 18, where my family was contacted by the police department in Anchorage that they had found my mother and she had passed away. So there was an instance where I go down to the medical examiner and sign papers thinking this was my mother, but it was an instance of wrong identification. There had been a lady who overdosed, I believe. I even got her medical packet, and I didn't open it because at that point I knew this was not my mother. She just simply had her ID on her.
So your mom's ID, like her physical,
that's why
state identification.
That's why they contacted my family.
Okay. So there was a point that you were told that your mom was deceased when she wasn't.
Right. And I remember after that, like, thank God. Okay, now where is she?
Did family have contact with her after that?
You know, there was a photo taken in 2017. I know for sure. In January the 23rd, I reached out to my aunt and, hey, have you seen mom? You know, please give her my number. March of that year, we had spoke, and, you know, I could sense her nervousness and scaredness of, hey, I haven't seen her.
I'm going to show you a photograph that's been marked State's Exhibit 25. Counsel and the court has courtesy of this. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes. I'm cropped out, but that's a photo I had taken with my mother.
And when was that photo taken, around about?
You know, I'm not sure. I want to say 2016, but I really couldn't tell you. I don't.
Is that the last photo that you had with her?
Yes, and it would, I would normally have, you know, a timestamp, but I had to screenshot that, and I don't know when that was taken exactly.
Okay, but it was around 2016, you believe?
I want to say, yeah.
Okay. I'd move at this point for the admission of State's Exhibit 25.
No objection, Judge.
It's admitted. You may publish.
Please. And when you reported your mom missing, was that February 9th, 2019?
That sounds correct.
Okay. And it sounds like at this point you're having a hard time remembering when the last time somebody had seen her was?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at the missing persons report that you made with the police that day on February 19th, 2019?
Sure.
Folks, while we're pausing, if you're new to the channel, we are very big into mental health breaks. If you need a break to walk away or watch something else
And
or
ask
go
you a couple
outside,
questions. May I question from here, Judge?
this is
Yes.
tough stuff.
Okay.
Go up,
Do you
take a break.
remember going to?
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Maybe your approach, Judge.
Yes.
Thank you for being here, everyone. We appreciate you being here.
Looking at this document, refresh your recollection about what you told the police the last time your mother was seen was?
Honestly, no. I just remember being just knowing something was wrong, scared, nervous. Yeah, it really doesn't bring up any memory, but obviously that's what I said.
Okay. At the time that you talked to the police, would it have been important to you to provide them the most accurate information you could about your mom? Okay. And did you tell them that Margaret Lestenkoff, her sister, had seen her in July of 2018?
Yes.
And did you do some work on your own before you went to the police to try and find your mom?
Oh, yeah.
Tell the jury about that, please.
I remember speaking with family, I remember going to places around Anchorage asking if anybody had seen her.
And when you say places around Anchorage, did you go to hospitals, bars? Where did you go?
I had went to the hospital thinking, you know, since this issue was very important, they'd tell me, but of course HIPAA, they couldn't. I also went to a liquor store I know she went to regularly. I remember them saying they had seen her, but it was unclear, you know, no actual facts. I went downtown. That's all I can remember.
And after you reported your mom missing in February of 2019, when is the next time that you heard about her?
So in October 2019, I was contacted by family to meet with a detective. And looking back at that, I was in complete denial or holding on to any hope. I remember thinking, wow, they found her, you know, maybe she's somewhere. And storylining that last night, I just am in awe that I believed that, you know.
And when you met with the detectives in October, did they tell you essentially that this case had arisen and that she
Yes.
had been located?
Yes.
I think that's all the questions I have for you, Ms. Grimaldi. I imagine the defense has some.
Okay.
Good morning. And I just have a few questions for you to try to get one specific timeline. During your direct examination, the state asked you about two different events. One was when you filled out the missing persons report in February 2019, you told them that your mother had last been seen of July 2018. You recall that part of your testimony?
I have answered everything, including that report, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. And then you also mentioned a time where you were contacted to help APD identify your mother, and it turned out not to be your mother. And you said that was in 2017 or 2018. So my question is, what order those happened? And did you fill out the missing persons report before or after you were called in by APD?
You know, that was some time ago. And I just can't recall for the life of me. I tried looking through old phones to get a more solid answer. But I'm just unsure.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to clarify that last part. Was there a time prior to you reporting your mom missing that the medical examiner's office called you?
No.
The woman that
I'm
had
sorry.
the wrong ID?
So that was before I was contacted by Detective Cross.
Okay. So she was then Sergeant Cross, Detective Lee's boss. She's African-American,
Yes.
about my height.
Yep.
Okay. She called you to tell you that they had found your mother's remains, correct?
2019, yes.
Yes. My question was the contact with the medical examiner's office where they had your mom's ID on somebody
That was
else's
prior.
body. Thank you.
Sorry.
That incident was prior to getting contacted by Detective Cross.
Yes.
When you're done, you may step down. Thank you.
So far, this defense counsel seems to be all right. Doesn't talk just to hear his own voice, so that's nice.
Appropriate for a break. Dr. Rolf is en route.
Okay. 15-minute break then, folks.
Please, Gordy.
15-minute break. The judge hasn't yawned yet, so that's good. He had 3 big yawns yesterday, but that was after lunchtime. Maybe he had a big lunch. If you'll notice in the screen here, I guess whoever's streaming this just updated their Mac to Mac OS High Sierra. Take a quick tour to see what's new. Get rid of that. It's bothering me, person. Whoa. And there we go.
You see, before I release you, I just want to tell you one thing and give you the benefit of some feedback we've gotten from juries over the years.
Oh, shit.
Some jurors really resent it when they see a lot of bench conferences.
Oh.
Some jurors think that means a lot is being kept from them, and they appreciate seeing, those jurors at least appreciate seeing the objection, the actual objection, and then the judge's ruling and whatever interchange they can get. So take that into account when you decide whether you're going to seek a bench conference or not. Okay.
I can tell the court, just for the sake of timing today, we're moving a lot quicker than I expected, which I'm very pleased about. We have Dr. Rolf is on her way. Detective Gordy is going to be here after her. Those were the witnesses that we had lined up for today. I'm going to try and see if I can get somebody else here, but I'm looking through my files about who might be close.
Good. Thank you.
And we'll plan accordingly for tomorrow, but it might be a short day. We'll do our best to get.
As long as we're moving according to schedule, it's working well.
Yeah, we're ahead of schedule at this point.
Thank you. Okay, let's take our break.
Regards. Report time for recess.
Hot mic, folks. Hot mic. So the judge tells them to stop doing sidebars. Yeah, Deanna, I don't know. Sounds like they might be done early today. If that's a long drive for you, you might not want to take it. The trial's supposed to be 3 weeks is what they have said previously. And just so you guys know, tomorrow we have our next Creators Who Crush with Tim and Lance from Crawl Space Pod. So if this trial is going, obviously I will go to the interview, and then I'll come back if it's still going after that. And that's at 7 Eastern. But it might not be. It says since they might have a short day tomorrow. I don't know. What's happening now is a 15-minute break, Charlotte. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. And they said that the prosecution said this case was going much faster than she anticipated. So she was looking for any other witnesses that were nearby that she could potentially call today. She also said tomorrow might be a light day because they don't have a bunch of witnesses. Thank you for being here, everyone. As always, you guys do such a good job liking. As you can see, we have 136 people watching right now on YouTube. 128 have already hit the like button, so thank you guys. You guys are always so good at that, and we appreciate it. Hello, Birdie81. Thanks for being here. By the way, if you are lurking on the channel, I promise if you stay high, if you say hi, we don't bite. But if you want to lurk, we get that too. But chat is very friendly. You will learn. I agree with Dizzy. Defense made a wise decision about not questioning the daughter. That was tough, guys. That was, what'd I say? I said, if you stay high. That's pretty funny. Hi, Miss Marcy. Thanks for being here. Ms. Marcy. Thanks for being here, Ms. Marcy. Laura Myers is a lurker. Thanks for being here, Laura Myers. BZ49. We love our lurkers. We know not everyone can chat all the time, so just watching we appreciate it. Laura is babysitting her grandson. Awesome. That's cool, Birdie. We get it. We totally understand. Dana says, I'm a lurker, but not in a weird way. Guys, we totally get it. But thanks for saying hi, everyone. Hey, Ivamos, good to see you. Ms. Marcy is listening and working. Hey, there's Lori Bale. We love you, Lori. Lori is awesome. One of the OGs, has been with us for such a long time. Lori, we love you. I totally get it. Folks work and they listen, and we appreciate that very much. We're all weird. I'm a weirdo. Jen's here. What's up, Jen? Says hi. Hi, Jen. Jen has a profile picture. Looks like with 2 dogs, so you know you're going to fit in here. We love our friends. Luckily, the audio is better today, so that's nice. There's still a little feedback, but it's 1,000 times better than yesterday. Oh, Cindy's heading to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. Have fun, Cindy. By the way, how many Norwegian Blonde says this is the weirdest place to be, and I love it. We love that you're here, Norwegian Blonde. Of course, Tanya. I'm glad you guys are here. I don't know how many dudes are here who get hair. You know, here's the one thing about a haircut that bothers me. Not really, I guess bothers me. So when they're done with the haircut, the freaking barber always takes this mirror and shows the back of my head, and I never know what the fuck I'm supposed to be looking at. Like, I'm supposed to be like looking if like the way he shaved the back looks good, and I'm like, I don't know, dude. It's too late now anyway. What am I supposed to tell you? I always just like, yeah, that's good, even though I have no idea what I'm supposed to be looking at. It's already done. He's already cut my hair. What am I supposed to do? The hair is already cut, dude. What? He's gonna show me the thing. I'm like, no, you fucked that up. Go put the hair back and do it again. I don't get that shit. No, Donnie, he's not working the tip. No, Donnie, I don't know what your barber does. My barber does not work the tip, my friend. We need the story about the waxing. The waxing. Oh, the fire, do you mean? The threading. Yeah, one time the barber surprised attacked me and threaded my face. And that shit hurt, man. He took like this string and he like wrapped it around his fingers and he like pulled it taut. And then he was like, shoosh, like just fucking hurting my fucking beard, my face. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? It was a surprise attack threading. I had never had that done at a barber ever. Now, for folks who don't know, they also light my ears on fire. I could show you guys this while we're waiting. I think they're Turkish, and everyone was like, what are you talking about? That's not a thing. And I was like, yes, it is. And everyone was like, no, that's not a thing. And then I showed them, and then they were like, oh, wow, Jay, you are right again. Why are you always right all the time? Turkish barber fire ear thing. They did this. This is what they do.
MC Barber.
Hey, this is from the
Watch this
fire.
shit. This is what they do.
So, as you saw, I'm using alcohol with a cotton on the stick and fire. The reason I'm holding my fingers between
Except
the
this
ear
guy does it
and
kind
the
of. They
head.
really like I was worried I was gonna have 3rd-degree burns today. They really just they get the ear hairs. And then they want a straight edge. Sometimes they like to straight edge and shave the back of my neck, but I say no to that. I don't really need that. They could use like the regular razor thing. Face laser. JD, you don't remember that part? I remember it well. There was just a bunch of people in the chat saying, "Jay, why are you're just always so wise?" And you're right again. Yes, Mandy, I do the fire every time, all the time. And then they give me a little. They always ask the eyebrows, and I of course say yes every time. My eyebrows would be out of control if they didn't go a little vroom.
Because I'm going to bunk with you,
Oh,
buddy. We're going to be buddies.
I
We're gonna be
vamos,
pals.
becoming
We're
a
gonna
bow.
wrestle around.
Thank you so much, I vamos. Get your Capri Suns out. Thank you. Jordan asks, what about the nose hairs? And I'll tell you what they've been doing recently, which they didn't do in the beginning, is they take their little buzz. They have like a little buzzer and they go zzz, a little zzz, like do it in my nose, which now that I think about it, like, do they wash that thing after they put it in my fucking nose? Oh, I vamos, giving out 5 memberships. I vamos, you are awesome. Thank you so much. Who got one? Joni got one. Norwegian Blonde got one. Brady Star got one. Brady Star, who harshed my sparkle one time. Mermaid Mary B gets one, and Queen Olive gets one.
We're going to be buddies. We're going to be pals. We're going to wrestle around.
And then I just got a $15 Venmo from Tony Bailey that says, it's not much, but pizza or coffee. Thank you so much, Tony. Guys, never feel like it's not much. Any little bit helps us. So I always appreciate any donation. Sometimes folks say, I wish I could do more. Anything you guys do is amazing for us, even if it's just liking and sharing. So thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And one day we'll get a sponsor, folks. Maybe it'll be the people that make the sticks that they light on fire. They need to. What is this trial about? Oh boy, Jen. This trial is about a guy who looks like he is a potential serial killer in Alaska. Someone was on he was on a date with, it appears to be a sex worker. He was on a date. He goes to the ATM to get cash to pay this woman. She looks in his glove box or center console and finds a memory card. She looks at the memory card, and the memory card has, it says on it murder or homicide or something. She watches it, and there's literally a video of him killing a woman. She gives that to the police. As they're interrogating him, they're about to leave for the day. He says, wait, you guys are done already? I'm going to make you guys famous. And then he tells them about another woman that he murdered. And he tells her where the body is. They go there, and sure enough, there's a body. And I would bet my bidet that this man has unalived many more women than these two. Ivamo says, you're welcome. Now a member to both husband and wife channels. That is so awesome. Thank you so much, Ivamos. Why are you asking if KJ hates you, babe? What did KJ say? Grow out my nose hair? Have you lost your mind? What's up, Peter? No, I don't get a lollipop, Bonnie, but I should ask for one. Yeah, no. Oh, Joanne gifted a membership. Joanne's the best. Thank you, Joanne. Let's see who gets it. Susan gets it. Thank you so much, Joanne.
Fuck your life, bing bong.
I'll tell you this, as far as my nose hairs go, I normally pluck those with a tweezer.
Because I'm going to bunk with you, buddy. We're going to be buddies.
Oh, Joni Flagler, if I said that, with a $5 Venmo that says being the best YouTuber on the block. Joni, that is so kind. Thank you so much, Joni. Ear hair, they take care of. The barber gets the fire. But as far as, listen to this shit, and oh, babe wants me to shut up. So nose hairs, I pluck out with a tweezer. It hurts as hell. Eyebrows, like other than the ones that I pluck out, like my unibrow, gotta pluck that out. But here's the annoying thing that's annoying as hell. I get hairs that come out of the top of my nose, like fucking hairs that come out of the top of my nose, and I gotta pull those out with the fucking tweezer. It's like, seriously, in at some point in evolution, did dudes need fucking hair on their noses, or am I just a freak of nature? I'm like a mutant. I'm like a new X-Men with this hair coming out of my nose. So I gotta pull those things out. All right. How much more time do I have to kill? Guys, this is me killing time. You pluck a chicken and you tweeze your... Oh, I said the wrong thing. I don't pluck them? All right, tweeze. Yeah, it's gross. I get it. Thank you. Tony's a nurse, and she could tell me that it's not uncommon for the hairs to grow up. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. They should be back any minute now, I think. Right? Yeah. Mrs. Skytroop says I'm a wolf man. I'm Teen Wolf, except I'm older. Michael J. Fox, Teen Wolf. Now that is a classic movie. Oh, Charlotte, why don't you go have some of your homemade granola bars? Will that make you feel better? Guys, if you don't know this, Charlotte makes homemade granola bars, and they look gross. She fucking like takes this weird bread and like cuts it into pieces and then puts pate on it or some shit. Yeah, Charlotte. What, you don't? Enough about the granola bars? Please don't discuss my manscaping. Fine, I'll stop talking about it. Sorry. I'm sorry. All right, I'll stop talking about the manscaping. I tried to kill some time. Chicken fried steak. I don't like steak. But we probably shouldn't get into that, should we? Blair says she enjoys the conversations. Yes, everyone who doesn't know, I don't like snake. Oh, there are people that are new here that don't realize that I don't like steak. Here, I'm gonna lose some subscribers now. Sorry, I don't like steak. Sherry says, here we go with the food. I'll stop now. I still have Donnie's A1 steak sauce. Yes, Elizabeth, but I haven't had good steak. But you haven't had the steak that I make. I could make you a good steak. Have you had filet mignon? Did you have it? Did you have it medium rare? Meh. Oh, good question, Jersey Jen. What did we have on our anniversary night? I had buffalo chicken mac and cheese. It was on a skillet. And Babe had chicken penne alla vodka, and we both had 2 large margs, and they were delicious. I said I had the perfect ratio of marg to edible. Babe said she had a little too much marg in her mix. Babe, next time you do a live, you should talk about when we went to the wedding. Have you ever talked about that? No, we didn't need chicken fingers. Babe's never told the wedding when we were dating. There's a wedding story that's pretty funny. Filet mignon is gross. Thank you, Miko. We did not have to sit at the bar. They made an exception for us. We got to sit across. I mean, I'll tell the story, but she'll tell it better. We went to a wedding. This is when we were dating, and Shannon had to fly here from Kansas. We went to my friend's wedding. First of all, she wore a red dress and didn't realize that everyone on Long Island wears black dresses. So she was one of the few. I mean, she was stunning and beautiful as always, but she felt self-conscious because she had a red dress, because everyone from New York, Long Island wears black and dark blue dresses. So that was the first part. And then my brother was there with his wife, and my brother kept feeding her gin and tonics. She had a lot of gin and tonics, to the point when she got home, she had to use the bathtub for, you know what I'm saying? She used the bathtub. So then she had to go back the next day, and she was still sick, and she was like having a panic attack before the plane. And then she told all her friends, and they're like, you don't do this on like one of your first times you meet someone. But luckily for her, I'm just a really good person, all around saint, and I kept her around. I supported her. So it's just you know, just me being just a good old guy again. Yes, we had to drive 1 hour. She's just saying, do you remember when we had to drive 1 hour to the airport and her head was out the window like a puppy? Her head was out the window like trying to get wind because she didn't feel good, and she was having it was like 30 degrees, and she was having a panic attack, and it was like when you have your dog and you have the window open so she could put your head out the window. I was there, Cat B. I was there the whole time. This was when I had an apartment. This is long before I was got this house. This was when I had a 1-bedroom apartment. No, 2 bedrooms? How many bedrooms? I don't remember how many bedrooms. 2. Yes, correct. Thank God for me, Joni. You're right. And Cece says, you kept her around. OMFG, what a saint you are. Yes, Cece, you're right. I am a living, breathing saint that you guys get to watch every day. Count your blessings. Yes, we met on twitter.com because I was tweeting that people need to leave Miley Cyrus alone. And then Babe was like, this guy's awesome. Why is that funny? How do you meet on Twitter? Susan, well, I told a lot of hilarious jokes like I tell now. Why are you laughing at that? They're not like I tell now, yes. I told a lot of funnies on the Twitter, and I had And Babe followed me, and we followed each other. And then she kept liking all my tweets about Miley Cyrus and retweeting them. And I said, stop doing that. And then we talked. Holy shamoly. Lori Bell sent. I'm not talking to you, Siri. Lori Bell just sent $50 on Cash App. That was so freaking kind. And it said, thanks for the mention as I came out of lurk mode. Well, thank you, Lori. Seriously, you have been such an amazing supporter since the very beginning, and I appreciate you. So thank you, Lori. Yeah, here's a funny story. I think I've told this before, but I had like 32,000 followers on Twitter. And the first time I went to Kansas and I met her sister, she hated me, her sister. And she was like, where are your 32,000 other girlfriends? That was how she introduced herself to me. She has since recanted and realizes I'm the saint that we all know I am. So, what is going on? This is a non-punctual court. Speaking of Shannon's sister, if you don't follow her son on if you do follow her son on YouTube, he has updated day 3 of his vlog at Disney World. Highly recommend his content. Babe, why don't you share that link in the chat? Yeah, it's funny, Charlotte. Someone just followed me recently from back in the day. We called it Fave Star Twitter. Do you guys know what Fave Star is? I bet you Babe is laughing because she knows what Fave. What is so funny, Babe? I'm going to tell him, Babe. I'm going to tell him. Do you guys know what Fave Star is? You probably don't. Oh, man. This is in 2013 when I started on Twitter. There was this app called Fave Star. Not an app. It was a website. And you had to pay for it. And yes, I paid for it. And what Fave Star is... Babe, what's so funny? Didn't you have it too? Fave Star was this like website that like, so you paid for it like monthly. I don't know how. And every day you could give a trophy to someone for their best tweet. Like you would click on the tweet and then you would click a button and it would be like, you just gave this person a trophy. And then like everyone would tell jokes and then they would give each other like, trophies for their tweets they thought were funny. And then Fave Star, FAVSTAR. I think it's still like the website's there, but the owner stopped using it or whatever. And it was basically just an all-around circle jerk of people telling these jokes on Twitter and giving each other. And then you would try to get the most trophies. Let me tell you, it was embarrassing to even talk about right now. Babe never paid for it, but she got trophies, just saying. Look at you. My account with Yes, people would use the trophies to flirt with you. So congratulations on getting so many trophies, babe. What happened to my 32K account? I disabled it, or I deactivated it, and after 30 days, they deleted it, and I didn't reactivate it after 30 days. So it was gone forever. Although sometimes you will see screenshots of my tweets out in the wild, particularly on Instagram. I have one tweet where I said, the early bird gets to cry in the work parking lot for a little bit longer, and you will see that on meme accounts. That was from my first account. There's a couple other ones. Oh yeah, my threesome one is out there. My threesome tweet was a threesome ? Not for me. If I wanted to disappoint 2 other people, I'd go out to dinner with my parents. That tweet is out there. There was another. No, my first followers are not as amazing as you, Charlotte. They were not. Babe, oh my Lanta. Holy shit. Oh, I can't do this any longer. Can we got live already? Can we start this trial, please? No, I'm not going to tell him that. Go ahead, babe. Oh, here comes the judge. They all think you're in the closet, babe. That's not true. Mods, block Shannon, please. That's not true. Oh, we're back. Except there's no
Created in 1999-01 CR. Mr. Smith is here. Counsel are here. Jury's waiting in the jury room. Before we bring them in, I'm going to tell counsel that I'm going to remind jurors again of the instruction to not talk about the case with anyone and not remain in places where the case is being discussed. And I want to remind the other folks that are here as well that jurors are forbidden from communicating with anyone connected with the case, really. And here in court, in the courtroom. So let's just all keep that in mind. And is there anything else we need to take up?
Yes, there's along those lines. I think it's why the court is going to be giving that admonishment is we did have Peter's 5 jurors who are out in the lobby outside the courtroom with the family after the most recent round of testimony. I don't know what, if anything, they heard or how it might affect them. We do know which jurors it was. I was going to ask if the court can bring them in here one by one and just ask them, a couple simple questions, which is, did you hear anything and will it affect your ability to be impartial?
No, what I'm going to do is remind them of their obligation to report to the court if there is anything overheard, or if anybody tries to have a conversation with them. They've already been instructed that they're not.
Why can no place handle a fucking jury correctly? Why is it so difficult to tell a jury to stay away from everyone else? Why is there always a problem with the jury everywhere? What is going on?
Repeatedly instructed that they're not to pay attention to any conversations or have conversations with anybody about the case, or they've been given a number of admonitions on point. And all over the state, jurors ride the same elevators or climb the same stairs with other participants in the case, and stay in the same hotels, eat at the same restaurants, fly on the same planes in and out of the venue. And I think that's why the instruction that I gave at the beginning was written, is because it's inevitable that people in Alaska especially will run into other people. So I'll just remind them of it, and if I'll trust them to follow the instruction.
And I don't have any information.
You're a little
that
too
there was
trusting,
any
Judge.
Contact other than proximity, being in the same home.
Yeah, I don't want to keep singling jurors out unless there's a really good reason to do so. All right, let's bring them in.
Please rise for hearing.
Please be seated, everyone. Got our jury back with us. It's all 10:28 or so. And everyone else is here that needs to be here to proceed with the State versus Brian Stephen Smith trial. Folks, I instructed you at the beginning about not making up your minds until you've heard everything you need to hear, not looking things up, and not talking about the case with others. I also told you I was going to remind you of that every day. So today, now's the time. Please remember that you have a duty to both avoid overhearing any conversations or any information at all about the case that might be outside the courtroom. And you have a duty to report if anything is accidentally overheard. And remember that instruction throughout the duration of the trial. It's inevitable in a state like Alaska and in a case like this that somebody will see somebody or pass by somebody. But just remember, you have the obligation to avoid any outside input at all. Okay? Thank you. State may call your next witness.
I think she said it was a doctor, so this might be a medical examiner. So again, FYI, there might be some sensitive stuff discussed. Although I don't hear anything now.
There's a state calls Detective Dave Gordy to the stand.
Okay, detective, right next to me, please.
Detective.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Remain standing, please. Raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony we'll give in the case now before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please proceed and please state your name, spell your last name.
David Cordy, David Cordie.
When you're ready.
Detective Gordy, where do you work?
I'm a detective with the Anchorage Police Department.
How long have you been with the Anchorage Police Department?
I started in the fall of 2005, went to the academy in 06, graduated FTO fall of 06, and then went to the investigative division in the spring, about January of 09.
And what detective division are you with at the Anchorage Police Department?
Currently, right now, I'm a cold case, homicide, sexual assault detective, but for 14 plus years, I was actually assigned to the homicide unit.
And were you assigned to the homicide unit then in 2018?
Yes, I was.
Can you explain to the jury a little bit about how cases come to be assigned to detectives in the homicide unit?
Sure. Almost every case that comes to the police department normally goes to patrol division first. Patrol division goes to the scene, determines what resources are needed to include a sergeant or command staff, at which time the decisions are made if it's going to be a criminal act took place. So if a criminal act took place in the incident, then procedures start into effect where they get a hold of the investigative division. If it's during normal business hours, we're at the office anyway, so that's easy. But if we're at home, we're on call 24/7 when we're in the homicide unit. Either a supervisor or commander will notify us at home if we're available to come in to assist in the investigation, at which time we come in and then we are briefed, and then certain detectives are assigned with certain duties for the investigation.
Are there other ways other than patrol that detectives might be assigned to a case, other through an initial patrol investigation that detectives may be assigned to a case?
Absolutely. Like I said, most of the times, I would say 98, 99% of the time, but occasionally the information will come directly to the police department, which will be vetted to the investigative division if it's needed.
Were you involved in an investigation that ended up being a direct report to the police department that you were assigned to in 2018?
Yes, I was on August 17th of 2018.
And just without getting into any of the details of the investigation or the nature of it, how did this case come about to be assigned to you?
It came in, it was a Friday. It came into the unit. We have limited staff because we work 4 10-hour shifts. So some of us are there Tuesday through Friday. Some are there Monday through Thursdays. So we have limited detectives on Mondays and Fridays. I was working that Friday. Everyone in the unit received emails of information from a source that wished to remain anonymous of details involving a possible incident.
And then were you assigned ultimately to work this anonymous report?
I don't know if I was assigned or voluntold, but either way, I got it that day. So.
Okay. And without getting into the details of what the anonymous report involved, did you become familiar with Mr. Smith?
Yes, I did.
And what information about Mr. Smith in 2018 did you learn about him?
I learned one thing, that he was from South Africa, that he had a distinct accent, a British accent. And then we learned information from the source of a black Ford Ranger pickup truck with a topper on it that he was utilizing at that time.
And during this investigation, did you also make contact with an individual named Alicia Youngblood?
Yes, she ended up being the person that provided the information to start with, and then volunteered her identity and actually met with me several times.
I want to fast forward then to 2019, October 1st, 2019. And did you become involved in the investigation that brings us here today?
Yes, I did, kind of in a unique way, but actually I don't recall if I arrived at work late that morning or if I was out on another investigation prior to that. But I came into the building, and at which time we have a conference room, a detective conference room, where we normally have our briefings that take place on the case facts that we're going to work on. And Detective Lee was conducting a briefing to the other unit members, so I sat in on that briefing.
And based on that briefing, what information did you provide Detective Lee?
As soon as he started giving the case facts in general, I said right away, this sounds familiar to me. It sounds like it could be, it's related or consistent with the 2018 incident with Miss Youngblood. And then Detective Lee actually played a video. And as soon as I heard the voice, I said right away, I said, once again, I said, I thought that was related to the 2018 incident.
And did you provide then further information to Detective Lee as to a potential suspect?
Yes, I had to go back to my desk because I couldn't remember the names right off the top of my head, but I did some research quick, and I was able to provide the name of Mr. Brian Smith and Miss Youngblood to Detective Lee within minutes, if shortly after that.
And is this the briefing? Was this in regards to the images and videos that were provided to APD by Ms. Kassler?
Yes, so SD card or with still photos and videos. Yes.
Let's talk a little bit further about what other assistance you provided in this investigation. Detective Lee was the assigned case officer, correct?
Yeah, he was tasked as being the lead investigator on the investigation. Yes.
So then, how do the other detectives get assigned duties if they're assisting the lead investigator?
That's kind of decided at the briefing. Once it's determined, it's a criminal act, and we're definitely going to go full, with the full unit working the investigation. Some of us are better at some things than other things, so we kind of volunteer, and the lead detective and the sergeant come to a compromise on who they want to do what task related to the investigation at hand. And so we just start, lead detective starts doling out projects for people, and that's how we start the investigation.
What are some of the things you did to assist Detective Lee in this investigation?
I know I helped him with some of the phone tolls. I started a affidavit, which is a written document to acquire search warrants to assist us in the investigation. I started that, and then I handed it off to him. I didn't apply for any search warrants, but what that is just a kind of a storyline of what is presented to the courts that allows us to get certain evidence by search warrant. So I started that for Detective Lee and then handed it off, and then he continued to be the affiant from then forward.
What were some of the records that you anticipated writing the search warrant for? Or
we-
some of the items, excuse me.
There was multiple items. I know one in general was the phone records. That we wanted to get phone records for Mr. Smith and start associating with those so we could start tracking cell phone towers and people's locations and things like that.
And how did you have Mr. Smith's cell phone number?
I had it from the previous investigation. And then we did some research and it appeared he had the same number in 19 that he had in 18 when I looked into it.
At some point then, did APD receive those records after serving a search warrant?
Yes, I believe we received them fairly quickly. I ended up getting a hold of FBI agent Eric Perry with the CAS team. And he has connections within the phone industry to get stuff on it quickly so that we don't have to wait and jeopardize our investigation. So he was able to get those records fairly quickly, if not almost, within that day.
So can you describe how that relationship with Mr. Perry works?
The FBI CAS team is a specialized cell phone analysis unit. They have different sections of the country. I think they 4 to 6 states. There's multiple teams of FBI agents, and they are professional technicians / agents when it comes to anything to do with cell phones. They attend training all the time. They assist local law enforcement with assisting us with cell phone plotting, towers, locations of cell phone devices, and the actual tolls itself too. They'll assist us with that, running reports.
Uh-oh. No, what's going on here?
Reports on who the person was contacting, what number that person was contacting, and it's just of great assistance when you're trying to track people and you're trying to locate people's locations based on cell phone tower analysis.
So during the early stages of this investigation, is it fair to say you were sort of the liaison between APD and Mr. Perry?
Yeah, I've had multiple experiences working with Agent Perry over the years, and we just had a good working relationship, and everybody knew it, so they knew that he'd answer my calls immediately and get on the case. So I was kind of tasked with that, which I gladly did.
Did he, when you provided him the records, did he give you an information as to Mr.
Just an FYI, if you're on YouTube, I just got a message that the chat disconnected. So if you can't chat, I don't know if that's down for everyone.
Smith's location at that point in time?
Yes, he did. Well, it's kind of bits and pieces. We would give him a timeline, because the full report, we get anywhere from 30 to 60 to 90 days of data from the cell phone companies. So it depends upon, we're looking at certain targeted times. I would present that to Agent Perry, and then he would get us the analysis of just a small timeline and eventually give us the whole analysis. But at the beginning, just certain bits and pieces.
In addition to timelines based on cell phone records, is there another way that you can use cell phone records to determine that cell phone's exact location at that particular moment?
Well, when it comes to the, keep in mind, there's 2 different things that can show location. It's the cell phone device itself, because a lot of times we have GPS on our phones. If that's on, it'll show that. And then when you have what we refer to as the cell phone tolls, that's the business records of the phone carrier itself. So AT&T, I believe, on this one. That'll give you the cell phone towers that device with that number was hitting at a certain time on a certain date. So that helps track that device and phone number too.
When you were working with Mr. Perry, were you able to determine where Mr. Smith's cell phone related to that number was actually located as you were looking for Mr. Smith?
Yes, he gave us I recall one distinctive point that he gave us in South Anchorage that assisted in the investigation.
At the time that you all were determined Mr. Smith was a potential suspect, was he located in Alaska?
No, at that time, Agent Perry forwarded to me that he was, Mr. Smith was in the Washington, D.C. area.
What are some of the other things that you did to assist in the investigation early on?
As far as going out to DC, or
Before we went to DC.
there was a lot of things, I guess.
Sorry.
I don't think you want me to go through every
Sure,
single
Let
thing.
me be a little bit more specific. Did you do anything to help reach out to attempt to try and locate Mr. Smith's truck?
I don't recall. I identified the truck because of my prior investigation. I knew the truck. I believe the plate was FSL 878, if I recall correctly, which comes back to a Ford Ranger, black in color with a topper. And I ended up getting those records and forwarding them to Detective Lee to assist. They appeared to be the same vehicle that I saw some still photos from the SD card. I concurred. I felt it was the same vehicle.
Did you work with airport police at all to see if you could locate the truck after you realized Mr. Smith's device was out of town?
Correct. When I found out that he had flown out to DC, and then I contacted the airport to have them start looking for this black.
Dawn Hamilton coming in hot with a £5 super chat. Thank you so much, Dawn. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Black Ranger pickup to see if we could locate it and seize it.
Was that search successful in locating it at the airport?
No, it was not.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about going to DC. Let's talk about that. Was there a decision at some point for you that was made that you would be flying to DC?
Saturday morning, the 5th, I believe, we had another briefing at the homicide unit. We're continuing to work the investigation. It's very common for us to work basically around the clock for as many days as we need to keep the investigation moving forward. We all came in on a Saturday morning. And once again, I don't recall if I volunteered or was voluntold that you're getting on a plane in a couple hours. And myself and Detective Loafman literally went home, packed a bag. She booked us flights, and we were on a plane, I think 3 or 4 hours later, flying to DC.
At this point in time on Saturday the 5th, were there other law enforcement agencies also involved in this investigation?
Absolutely. I mean, the FBI was assisting us greatly with Agent Perry and other unit members that they were assisting us in the DC area. We had several local agencies in the DC area, along with, I believe, the marshals were assisting us too, doing surveillance.
And once you learned the location of Mr. Smith and that he was in the DC area, at that point, is that when those other investigating agencies got involved with helping surveillance?
Yes, we became aware that we felt Mr. Smith was out there with his wife in the Washington, D.C. area visiting or whatever they were doing. So we reached out to them to attempt to locate them, but do static surveillance, which just means you watch them and do not make contact with them until we had boots on the ground in the DC area, myself and Detective Loafman.
Boots on the ground.
And what was your understanding of the plan for why you would be flying to DC?
Oh, shizzle. BZ49 gifted out a sub. And Dawn Hamilton gets it. Dawn, who just gave the super chat. Awesome. Thank you so much, BZ. You're awesome. Thank you.
Twofold. We weren't 100% that Mr. Smith was going to come back to Alaska in the very near future. We had information that he was booked on a flight. So if Mr. Smith decided not to take that flight, we needed detectives on boots on the ground to be able to interview him. And if he does take the flight, then we would go into the second mode of the operation, which would be to contact his wife and conduct an interview with his wife.
And then what ultimately transpired while you were in DC?
Mr. Smith, I believe we were in the air, or shortly after we got there, Mr. Smith ended up getting on a plane, I believe the next morning or early or late that night, I can't recall exactly, left for Alaska. So then we phased into the second mode of our operation and ended up making contact with his wife, Miss Bislin.
Was there a discussion about the timing of when you would make contact with her?
Absolutely. That was crucial. We did not want to make contact with her until Mr. Smith was on the ground in Anchorage. So there was no way, if he had a connecting flight, that she would reach out to him and give him a heads up. Hey, the police are here talking to me. So we wanted to make sure that we contacted her after detectives contacted him in Anchorage.
And is that ultimately how that transpired?
Yeah, it worked out perfectly. And that's exactly what took place.
And so who all made contact with Miss Bislin?
Myself and Detective Loafman. Once again, we had I'd be Fairfax County helped us along with the marshals. And then one of the FBI agents from Rochester actually flew down and assisted us too.
Did so you and Detective Lopen made contact with Miss Bislin? Is that correct?
Yeah, they had surveillance. She was at a restaurant, a local restaurant in the area with a friend, and we ended up making contact with her in the parking lot of that restaurant.
Was that after she had come out of the restaurant?
She came outside and we made contact with her, introduced ourselves, and then she agreed to go to the local police substation to talk to us.
Did she end up talking to you or Detective Loafman for the most part?
We started as a team, which we normally do, but it appeared that the rapport I had with her wasn't as good as what Detective Loafman had. So I made a decision to pull myself out of the interview and watch it from the outside and let Detective Loafman continue.
How would you describe Miss Bislin's demeanor?
Good question. It was unique, to put it my perspective. It was very unique. She was confused why we were there, which was kind of surprising to me, because when two detectives fly out to talk to you, you think it's something very important. And Detective Loafman finally towards the.
By the way, how nice is it to have a defense attorney who doesn't object literally every minute?
And informed her that what unit we work for, what we were investigating, and then she was in denial.
Did she give any indication that she had any idea of what had been happening that you guys were telling her about?
No, she was clueless of what happened with Mr. Smith in our investigation.
After you interviewed Miss Bislin, what else did you do while you were in DC?
We ended up, she provided her cell phone. We had to get the cell phone data. One of the agencies assisted us with that. I don't recall in general exactly what you're referring to, but
Would you, so you said she gave your cell phone, and would you describe her as cooperative? Does she provide that information willingly?
Absolutely. She gave us consent to search it. And the unit that assisted us, they had a cybercrime unit out there, was in contact with her when she was going to get her device back, and they actually hand delivered it to her at a residence. So they were very forthcoming with her, and she was cooperative with her phone. Absolutely.
Did you also, did either you or Detective Loafman also obtain a DNA sample from Miss Bislin?
I believe Detective Loafman did. I don't think I was in the room at that time, but I do recall her providing a consensual DNA buccal swab, which we just do in the cheek.
Okay. At some point then, did you return to Anchorage?
Yeah, we flew back, I believe about 2 days later, flew back and continued to assist in the investigation.
Those are all the questions I have for Detective Lee.
Thank you. Detective
I'm
Gordy.
sorry, I looked right at Detective Lee.
I know what you meant.
Detective Gordy.
And I'm sorry, are you Detective Gordy, Sergeant Gordy now?
No.
Detective.
Retired soon.
Retired.
Put it that way.
Fantastic. Even better. So I just want to talk about a few things. So you had a chance to talk to several witnesses in the case, right?
A couple, yes.
And when you're working on a case like this, every witness has a different connection to the case, right?
Normally, yes.
And they may have different demeanors when they're talking to you, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Like Miss Bislin, you said you contacted her in the parking lot of a restaurant where she'd been in Washington, D.C.
Correct.
And did you identify yourself at that point as an Alaska detective?
Absolutely.
And you determined later on she really, you said she was in denial, was clueless about things, right?
Correct.
So when you contacted her in the parking lot of the restaurant, her surprise was probably pretty genuine at that point, wouldn't you say?
I'd agree with that, yes.
Nobody flies from Alaska to Washington, D.C. and expects a number of officers to identify themselves as Alaska detectives. And can you come with us and talk about something?
Yes, I would agree with that.
I mean, how many times have you done that in your career?
Several.
To DC?
Not to DC, but other parts of the country, absolutely.
And then you also mentioned that you had prior contact with somebody named Alicia Youngblood, right?
Yes.
And now, without going into anything that you talked about with her, she said to you, she essentially worked with you, right? Like she was providing you information.
Yes.
And she volunteered that to you.
Yes.
And that goes back to when she initially contacted you back in 2018, right?
Correct.
She almost immediately just started feeding you information, correct?
Well, at first she remained an anonymous source, and then she was able to, then she confirmed her identity, but she continued to be cooperative. Yes.
And she continued to provide you information.
Yes.
And throughout the course of your, I guess, officer witness relationship with her, she would frequently update you with information, right?
Once the fall of 18, when the decision was made that she left state, I had communications with her, but as far as volunteering stuff, I don't recall in general, any detailed information that she provided me.
But before she left state, she was providing information on a regular basis, right?
Yeah, she had multiple contacts with myself and my partners, yes.
Okay. And when you contacted Miss Bisland, you had said she seemed clueless about everything that you were asking her about, I guess, or that you were alleging had occurred.
That's my opinion of her demeanor. I was asked the demeanor of her.
Right.
And that's my opinion of what I felt her demeanor was at that time.
So you felt that, never mind the word she was saying, her demeanor indicated to you that she really was clueless about everything.
That's the feeling I got based on the interview, yes.
And that the things you were asking her about or talking to her about or alleging, she was genuinely shocked and surprised about it, right?
I don't disagree with that. No.
Thank you. That's all I have.
I just have a couple of follow-up questions. I'm not sure if I clarified this. The anonymous report that initially in 2018, do you remember roughly about when that happened?
Came to my knowledge on 8/17, which would have been a Friday, August 17th of 2018. I believe the information started to come in a day or two prior to that. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get to us, filtered to us, but it was several times a day there was information being provided.
And then Mr. Ayer asked you about, your numerous contacts with Miss Youngblood. How would you describe Miss Youngblood's demeanor when she was communicating with you or APD?
She was very willing to assist any way that she could. She was very concerned of what she was reporting. She felt it was valid, the information that she was providing us. And she continued to cooperate and assist in any way she could. Every contact that I had with her, and I think that's the same with when I was gone for a short period of time, she met with other people too.
Okay, thank you, Detective. That was the only other question.
You're done. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What the hell is going on here? Right now it's 12 o'clock.
Appear next to me, please, Dr. Rolfe.
Doctor, we got a doctor.
Good morning.
Morning.
Please remain standing, raise your hand and right hand, swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in the case now before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please proceed. Please state your name and spell your last name.
My name is Kristen Marie Rolfe. My first name is spelled Cristin. And my last name is spelled ROLF.
When you're ready, Cal.
And Dr. Rolfe, can you introduce yourself to the jury? Tell them what you do for a living.
I'm a medical examiner for the state of Alaska. And what that is a doctor that performs autopsies on people who die of sudden, unusual, or even violent deaths. Our job is to come up with the cause and manner of death in these people.
And how long have you been doing that work?
I've been doing the work here in Alaska since 2014. I started in July 1st, 2014. I also work for Kentucky doing the same job, basically, working for the University of Kentucky in the state for 17 years, starting in 1997. And I worked as a medical examiner there as well.
And can you tell the jury your training and experience a little bit about your schooling and what it takes to become a medical examiner?
To become a medical examiner, I went to college and received my undergraduate degree in biology and pre-medicine. And that was at Kent State University in Ohio. And then I did my Doctor of Medicine schooling or medical school in Toledo, Ohio, at the Medical College of Ohio at Toledo. It's not called the University of Toledo. And I received my doctorate degree for a medicine, Doctor of Medicine in 1991. I then did 5 years of pathology residency training at Case Western Reserve University Hospitals in Cleveland, Ohio. And what that is, what a pathologist is a doctor that basically does the lab work. They'll do biopsies, they'll do autopsies like I do now. They'll look at lab work like body fluids, other samples people submit for the diagnosis of a disease. And that was a 5-year program. And I got it board certified in anatomic and clinical pathology. I then did a year of training at the Cuyahoga County Coroner's Office in Cleveland, Ohio. And that was a year training for forensic pathology. Also got board certified for that as well. And that's just a test, shows a person that they know what they need to do in their career. It means they're knowledgeable in their field. And then I started in Kentucky, worked there, moved to Alaska because I like Alaska. We were here as tourists and we just decided to come pick up a job here.
And in your 10 years with Alaska, or nearly 10 years, how many forensic autopsies do you think you've done?
I perform about 250 to 300 autopsies a year. So, gosh, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 by now.
Okay. And then obviously additional ones in Kentucky as well.
Yeah, the same amount. I mean, throughout all my career.
And do you testify?
This lady has a pretty impressive CV, but check out what I just did. I add the Anchorage time to the bottom of the stream. So who's the winner here?
Frequently.
Yes. I mean, it varies. You know, during COVID, there wasn't so many, but I testify in court. And here in Alaska, I testified numerous times in grand juries as well as in court. So I've testified in Ohio and Kentucky and here in Alaska.
Are you frequently qualified as an expert in the field of forensic pathology?
Yes, here in court.
And that's for jury trials just like this?
Yes.
Okay. I'd move at this point, Judge, to qualify Dr. Rolfe as an expert in the field of forensic pathology.
No objection.
Court finds her to be qualified in that field.
And so I want to talk to you about what happens when you're asked to perform an examination on human remains, perhaps not a full body as would normally be, but what happened in this case where you're given essentially a skull. What does an examination like that look like?
In this case, instead of a whole body, which I would perform an autopsy and do external and internal exam, in this case, all I received was the skull. It was basically the top half of a skull. There was no mandible, the jaw, no jaw, but it had teeth and it was pretty much intact. And
Why does it keep glitching out? I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why this keeps happening.
Testifying from memory.
Testifying from memory, please. Don't just read. Let us know.
Oh, yes, I'm going to say I cannot remember or memorize everything I do.
You do
I
2
have
to
multiple
300
cases.
a year, right? So let me
Go ahead, so.
direct you a little bit. Is it common for you to work with a forensic anthropologist?
With the bone case, we would. And if it's a suspicious case that I see something unusual about the bones, or if it's someone that's unknown, we may send for DNA and we might get X-ray, teeth.
Was that the case in this case, that when the skull came in, the identity of the person was originally unknown?
Yeah, it was unknown. It was just a skull that was found outdoors.
Okay. And you said you take photos of it before it's cleaned, you take photos after. Do you at that point look for a cause of death?
Yes, if we can. I mean, if it's a pristine skull with nothing on it, this skull did have something on it that, or in it that would indicate that there was a cause of death, at least in the head. Of course, the rest of the body, I can't tell because the rest of the body was.
Why does this keep buffering?
There.
Okay. And so before you send it out to the forensic anthropologist for identification purposes, were you able to determine any defects in the skull that might have contributed to a cause of death?
The skull did have a defect on the left side.
What the fudge? Does anyone know if this is happening on the actual...
Something moving through the head, which is in this case it was a gunshot wound in that skull. It's an internally beveled defect and means it chips out on the inside and the bullet was entering the head on the left side.
And were there other findings inside of the skull that were consistent with a gunshot wound?
There were tiny metallic fragments, which on the anthropology report, which I don't want to talk about in detail.
This is annoying as hell. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you, Nora.
It was seen in much better detail than our own x-rays, but there was opaque material on an x-ray that was consistent with shavings from a bullet or material from a metal.
Okay. And would it be common in your practice to consult with that anthropologist and use their x-rays to help make your diagnoses?
Yes, their x-rays were actually a little more detailed than ours.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibits 10 through 24. The court has a copy of these. I'm actually going to give you those copies. R10.
What the fuck is going on with this shit? I assume this is just a court feed, but if it's not, someone let me know. I do not know why this keeps freaking happening. bothering me. Okay, thanks, Steve.
Apologist.
Yes, 10 through 18 are ours, 19 through 23, 23 are the anthropologists.
Okay, and is 24 some dental x-rays that you ultimately sent out to an forensic odontologist?
Yes.
Okay, and was 24 taken by your office?
Yes.
Okay, I'd move at this point for the admission of 19 through 20.
Maybe it's the moose. There's meese that are sweaty moose are walking between the routers, and it's slowing down the feed. But it sure is irritating. Thanks, Donnie. Ask Dennis Miller to fix this, please. If you guys missed it, in the last stream, I played a video of Donnie's voice. Shelly says Judge Saxby's whole stream is froze now. Oh, boy. Thanks, Shelly.
And then where is the defect that you categorized as a bullet defect? Is where we're at.
See how rounded it is on the back? Let's see.
And then let's go ahead and go to Exhibit 12. What is Exhibit 12?
Exhibit 12 is again the skull, and there's still some debris. There may be a little bit of flesh or material left on the skull.
Dana thought Donnie was a bot. No, he's all too real, Dana. The circle of annoyance. If you're coming in late, we are having some problems with the court feed, and it's annoying. It's also 11:10 a.m. in Anchorage, Alaska right now. As you can see, I've added the clock. So I am a master.
Also, it doesn't look ancient. It's not brown or, something that looks almost like a fossilized skull that people find of maybe native burials or something like that thousands of years ago. This looks more like a recent skull. And also there were fillings in the
Oh, my Lanta. It's 7-Eleven in Australia. Peter from Australia. Bright and early.
Did you have an opinion about whether there had been animal predation?
Thursday. Peter's in the future, folks.
there were
Peter's
some
in the
areas
future.
that were, chewed or missing, maybe small animals got to it or something, but not much.
Okay. And did you, is any of that impact your opinion about the gunshot wound to the left side? Like the idea.
actual gunshot wound on the left? No, not that one. If anything is missing, I can't tell you whether there's a gunshot wound in it or not.
Okay. I guess to put a finer point on it, the idea that there might have been animal predation doesn't impact your decision about whether or not that was a gunshot wound.
No, that was typical of a gunshot wound, and then it's supported by the material that's in the x-ray.
Understood. So Exhibit 13, what is this?
Exhibit 13 is the bottom of the skull. This is the very bottom of one's head. And in here, this big hole here, that's where the spinal cord and the brainstem goes through. It's called the foramen magnum. And then this is the rest of the back of the skull, the back of the person's head. There's teeth. And these teeth have fillings in them. So it shows this person was alive, at least in the last whenever people could make fillings. And that was probably within 100 years or so.
And is that something that you look for to help determine identity?
Yeah, so look at the teeth, see if there's wear, see if they're nice and straight or they're crooked or and then the important thing is were they restored by other people? And the metal in the teeth are restorations where cavities were filled.
Now, is there just a giant database of people's dental records floating around for people to use?
Well, there's NAMUS, that's what the abbreviation means, but that is a system that there are people that are missing, and they're on one end, and then people that are found are on the other end of NAMUS, and we try to compare them. They do that. It's a national database that I don't work with personally, but that's one of the databases we look up. Also, if there's anyone local that's missing, the police may have records or at least know of this person if it's a local missing person.
Okay. Now, so if somebody's not in NAMUS as a missing person, you would actually have to have their identity to send to a forensic odontologist, correct?
Yeah, we'd have to know who the skull could be or might be to be sent.
Okay. Exhibit 14.
Exhibit number 14 is the right side of the skull. And this, and there's some parts are missing. So I can't tell you if that's a gunshot wound or not. And, but the rest of the head on this side is normal. But no gunshot wounds I could see.
Exhibit 15.
This is the top of the skull. And this just shows the sutures going across the coronal, like one side to side, and then there's a sagittal suture going down the middle. And when you're a baby, you're born, your little baby, as you grow, the skull plates join, and then they form these little creases. So these are not cracks or fractures from someone that injured this person. Those are natural sutures that the skull fuses together.
And exhibit 16.
Exhibit 16 is the skull, well, somewhat cleaned up. That leaf is still stuck there. You can see the hole better, and it's rounded on the back. And that's what made me suspicious that I think this person was shot or has a gunshot wound.
Is 17 a better close-up photo of that?
17 is a good close-up photo. You see the rounded part. And then this broke out, maybe just the angle of the bullet going in, or maybe an animal may have chewed on it or not. I couldn't tell. I don't see too many marks around it. And then there's a little bit of dirt still left on the skull.
Okay, what is exhibit 18?
Exhibit number 18 is an x-ray of the radiograph of the skull. And this shows, yes, much clearer picture showing these tiny fragments in the skull. Those are metal, and those are consistent with being shot with a bullet. And then let's see, maybe a few small fractures.
So what I want to talk about is a bullet. Like sometimes you will have an entry and an exit wound, correct?
Yes.
In this case, all you have is an entry wound.
That's all I could see.
Okay. Maybe down here could have been an exit, but you couldn't diagnose it.
It's hard to tell. I mean, it could have gone out the foramen magnum. I did not open the skull, so I wasn't 100% sure of an exit. The bullet could have still remained in the head, and then it either fell out. if the skull is moved around.
If there was animal predation and the brain isn't there, the skull would, or the bullet would go.
It would leak out easy. And then again, since we have nothing down here, the bullet could have gone out the foramen magnum, maybe not.
But you do have metallic fragments. Is there any other like reason that somebody would have metal in their head that you can think of?
I mean, it would be like surgery, or first had an old, like a brain tumor removed, they had an old surgical incision, or a plate or anything put on the skull. It'll be a patterned round appearing plate or a different shaped plate. And it would be obvious that it would not be something irregular and small like a bullet.
Okay. So you diagnosed this as a gunshot wound. 19, what does that show?
Exhibit 19 is a picture of the skull. And I think this is an anthropologist's picture. But it just shows the arrows around it.
You talked about bevel defect. Is that apparent there?
You can kind of tell from the outside. It's there's no beveling on the outside, but when you put your finger around, you can feel that there's beveling on the inside. You can't see the beveling in this picture. It is a thin area of bone as well, but
okay. Let me look at the next picture and see if that helps. Exhibit 20, what does that show?
The next picture is a photograph of the gunshot wound, and there is beveling. So when a bullet goes through an object where there's bone, or like a piece of glass, or another object, it will chip out the material as it's going through. It'll push out the material on the opposite side where the bullet's entering through.
And exhibit 21, what is that?
Exhibit 21 is another radiograph of the skull showing these small fragments.
Okay. And exhibit 22?
Exhibit 22, and these are the recovered objects. This is not what I did. This is actually the anthropologist's report. And there's little fragments that were.
And that's something that you relied on to make your decision though, right?
Yes.
Okay. And those are the fragments that were removed from the head?
Yes.
Okay. And is that consistent with when you've done other autopsies? Let me put it this way. You've talked about hundreds, if not thousands, that you've done. Have you seen people shot?
Yes, numerous times.
Are those consistent with bullet fragments that you've seen in other cases?
Yes.
Okay. 23, what does 23 show?
23 is from the anthropologist's report. That just shows what this possible projectile path. They're kind of dark, so it's hard for me to interpret. I'd rather just say that personally, from my examination, I have a bullet that went in the left temporal, point to the right side of my head here, left temporal went into where the brain would be. So this bullet would cause a lot of damage to the brain. Even though the brain is gone, you know that a bullet went through this area, it's going to cause a lot of injury to this person's brain.
Is that going to be where that bullet would have entered? Is that going to be a survivable injury?
Most likely not.
I want to talk about 24. You said your office did dental x-rays as well?
Yes.
Are these the dental x-rays that you took?
Yes, these are x-rays of the teeth. And some of them have fillings, big fillings, small fillings, different size. Some teeth recently gone, or they might have fallen out of the skull. Doesn't look like they're healed or anything like that. So they might have been there when this person died. The fillings are all unique. They're almost like a fingerprint in a person, because everyone's teeth are shaped differently, and everyone's fillings are placed in cavities which form in different areas of the teeth. So it is a point of identification, because obviously we don't have the flesh of the face. So we take these teeth pictures and we combine and we compare them, or our dentist would compare them with the old x-rays of the person when they were alive.
And were x-rays collected or old dental records collected from Veronica Abachuk?
Yes, and I would like to,
if it'll refresh your recollection, to look at your report, please do.
We identified this person as Veronica Abachuk through comparison of our dental x-rays of postmortem with antemortem, which means before death x-rays. And Dr. Gagliano did that.
Okay. So x-rays were obtained from the South Central Foundation, is that correct?
I don't have that name and all that there. If you have it.
If it'll refresh your recollection, may I show you the letter from Dr. Gagliano?
We just have a letter stating that we have antemortem before death, x-rays from the South Central Foundation.
Okay, and those were for Veronica Abachuk?
Yes.
And they were provided to Dr. Gagliano?
Yes.
And then she provided you back a report?
Yes, we provide both sets, like the antemortem, the postmortem x-rays, and then she provides us the letter.
Okay, and she's going to testify later in the case, but based on that letter, were you able to make the identification that this skull belonged to Veronica Abachuk?
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk to you back up just a little bit before you're able to make this final identification here, and we can have the lights go up, please, Master Clerk. Before you were able to make this ID, when this was just an unknown skull that was found, you said you sent it to a forensic anthropologist?
And that we sent it to, don't have the person's name. It was University of North Texas.
Okay. And were names provided to that person, to that anthropologist to rule out or rule in?
From what I understand, I don't have the names with me, I only have my report.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at the anthropology report?
Yes.
I'm showing you that 16-page report. At the time, the investigators provide the anthropologist the names of Mary Alexi and Linda Skeek.
Yes, and these were people who were missing, and we provided these names and possible DNA to them to compare.
Okay. And were they able to rule out those two individuals?
Yes.
Okay. And so then you sit with the skull and you know that it's not Mary Alexi and you know that it's not Linda Skeek. Was it not until October of 2019 that the name Veronica Abachuk was provided to the odontologist?
I know it was later than that. I don't have the exact date on my in my head, but this was later. We came up with another name, and she had dental records, and we were able to compare.
Okay. To the best of your recollection, the anthropologist never got the name Veronica Abachuk?
No, not that I know of. They had these other names.
Okay. I think that that's all the questions that I have. Actually, does the University of North Texas try and help with identifying the potential race or gender of the decedent?
It's an anthropology report. I don't have all this. I have to read the whole thing, but it might state that they, whether it's a male skull or female skull, what kind of race they would if it's an anthropology department. And I can see that it does say, but I have to read it. Unless you have the people that made this report talk about it.
Okay. I won't ask you to do that at this point. Thank you, Dr. Rolfe. That's all the questions I have for you.
Dr. Rolfe, I want to start where you just left up, which is part of your analysis. You did send this to a forensic anthropologist, correct?
Yes.
For help and identification.
Yes,
right?
identification, confirm all my findings and.
And you relied on that in your findings, right? To help you come to an identification?
Yes.
In the same way that you relied on the dental records that you testified about?
Yes.
And Counsel for the state was just about to ask you about the gender for that, and you were flipping through that report. I point you to page 2 of 16 of that report that the questioning was the anthropology report. Do you see page 2 of 16?
2 of 16? Oh, okay, sorry. Yes.
Biological profile sex.
Profile sex.
And
I'd
this
have
is the
to,
report that you would have relied on in your analysis.
yes.
Right. And it starts out by saying, although the general impression of the decedent's sex is male.
Yes.
Right.
I'm reading it.
Yes, that's what
along
it
with
says.
you. Yes. Due to varying degrees of sexual dimorphism within populations, robust female can't be excluded.
It says cannot be definitively excluded, correct?
Yes.
And then accordingly, the sex is best reported as undetermined.
Yes.
Right. But the report starts out by saying it is the general impression is that it's a male skull.
That first sentence, it says, although general impression.
So the review of this skull, this is all you had of this person's remains, right?
This is all I have is just a skull, no other parts of the body.
In that skull, you saw a hole with metal fragments in it that you diagnosed as a gunshot wound.
Yes.
But you don't have the rest of the body, correct?
No.
So you don't know if there was trauma suffered to other parts of this person's body?
Yep.
And you don't know if this person's body suffered other trauma, whether that was before or after any gunshot wound?
No.
So had this person, for example, been shot in the abdomen, bled out, and then were shot 2 hours later, they would have a gunshot wound to the head, but that wouldn't be what killed them, right?
I guess if they died from some other reason and then they were just shot in the head later, I can't tell you. All I know is a gunshot wound to the head, and all I can say that this gunshot wound would be fatal if it,
But you can't
just in the head alone.
You can't say definitively that it was fatal because you don't have the rest of the body to examine, right?
No, you're correct.
And then you also sent it out for dental record analysis to I guess, trained certified odontologist.
Yeah, she's a dentist and odontologist for the state. I don't know about her. I don't know about the credentials as an odontologist. You'd have to ask Dr. Gagliano herself.
And I think we will. But if I can turn you to Exhibit 13, do you have the exhibits in front of you?
13. That's the bottom of the skull?
Yes. And in that you can see the teeth, right?
Yes.
How many teeth would you expect a normal adult human to have?
Overall, we would have 32 teeth if we never had, a person never had their wisdom teeth taken out or other teeth for, braces.
So assuming somebody would have their wisdom teeth out, because most people do at this point, right? How many teeth do you have left?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
Well, assuming.
32 minus 4 is 28.
So person, full set of adult teeth, either 28 or 32 teeth, depending on wisdom teeth.
It depends. Yes.
Yeah. And how many teeth are in the skull that you examined here in Exhibit 13?
There are multiple missing. So I see 4 on the top of the picture, and I see 4 on the bottom of the picture. And there's multiple teeth missing in the front. It looked like there might be some absent teeth. And then in the back of the jaw, there's portions actually missing. So I can't tell if the teeth were there or not.
So, but we can see clearly approximately 8 full teeth there, right?
Yes.
Out of the 28 to 32 you could have as an adult human.
Yes.
And that's what was sent to the forensic odontologist for comparison.
I don't have which tooth they sent, but I would have to look
Oh, you
through
took
the,
x-rays of the skull, right? You sent those?
yes.
So that would,
Well, we sent this, just the skull, and then they made their own x-rays.
so presumably if you sent the skull we see here in exhibit 13, the odontologist would have had 8 teeth to examine, right?
Yes.
All right. That's all I have, Judge.
Redirect.
You were asked some questions about the anthropology report on page 2, and you were asked to read just the first line. Can I have you turn to page 5 of 16 and read the summary opinion, point 1A, regarding gender, well, sex and ethnicity?
Where it's a summary opinion for Alaska State Medical Examiner and has our case number.
Yep.
Medical legally significant remains, likely adult 30 to 50 years of Asian derived, and that Meridian, Hispanic, etc. ancestry. Decedent's sex and stature are undetermined.
Okay, so likely an adult 30 to 50 years, is that correct?
Yes.
Of Asian or Asian derived, e.g. Amerindian or Hispanic, etc. Is that correct?
Native. That means like a Native American in this general area.
Okay. And the decedent's sex and stature are undetermined.
Yes.
So there's no finding that this was a male skull. Is that correct?
No, they did not confirm it was male. They were not 100% sure. It could be a male or a robust female.
Okay. And based on the dental x-rays, they were actually able to exclude Linda Skeek. Is that correct?
I know that I think they
go ahead and refer to subsection 2 there of that summary.
Yes, they were unlikely to be Alexi and Linda Skeek.
Okay. And it's unlikely to be Mary Alexi because of why?
They compared tooth number 12 with which was lost antemortem, but no imaging available to confirm the decedent's tooth number 12 is present.
Okay, so I'm going to slow you down. So Mary Alexi, antemortem, did not have tooth number 12, correct?
Yeah, and this person had one.
The decedent has tooth number 12. We can rule out this person.
Tooth can't grow back.
Yep. And then Linda Skeek, there were 3 teeth that they were able to make some determinations about, correct?
Yes, I can read this.
Please, and then let's.
Decedent has tooth number 6, 11, and 13 present within the arch. Antemortem dental radiographs confirm that Ms. Skeek had teeth number 11 and 13 extracted or taken out. So those 11 and 13 can't grow back because we only have 2 sets of teeth.
So Linda Skeek was missing teeth 11 and 12, and the skull that you sent to the anthropologist had those teeth.
Had those teeth.
Okay. And then I think that you talked about some of the teeth that were missing didn't look like any healing had happened, and some looked like they had.
Yeah, these were the teeth in the front, looked like they were recently lost or fell out of the skull. And then the other, there might be some areas where there's possibly healing, but I'd rather have you talk to the dentist about that.
And we will talk to the dentist, but you can look at the gums and see that some have been extracted and some.
Or the bone. And yeah, looking at the front of the skull, there's sockets there that don't look healed over. There might be one on the right side of the skull between the bicuspid and molar that might be healed, but I'd rather the dentist confirm that.
We will talk to Dr. Gagliano about that, but as forensic odontology, a really common way to make identifications in your field of work.
What's the objection?
Vouching judge. It's nice either there or it's not.
Overruled.
Okay, is forensic odontology a really common way to make identifications in your line of work?
Yes, especially for people who don't have facial structures that you can tell.
That's all that I have for you. Thank you.
You're done, Doctor. Thank you.
I know we like Judge
I think I got those
Randolph.
back in order.
Judge Randolph is great, but there is something to be said about just saying objection
Next
overruled.
witness, Judge.
Yes.
Shit, what did she just say? Damn it. Oh, I think she has to go get her next witness. Looks like Judge needs a snoozle. Sorry to hear that, Mike. Hope you feel better soon.
Okay. Up here next to me, please, ma'am. You'll have to go through that pathway there. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please remain standing. Raise your right hand and we'll swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in the case now before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please be seated and please state your name and spell your last name.
My name's Valerie Kassler, Casler.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready, counsel.
Thank you, Judge. I'm just turning the TV off. Okay, thank you. Good morning, Miss Kassler.
Good morning.
Can I have you introduce yourself to the jury? Tell them your name, how old you are.
My name's Valerie Kassler. I'm 52 years old.
And where do you live?
Right now I live at the Barrett Hotel.
Okay. And is that transitional housing?
They made them into apartments. So my South Central Foundation pays my voucher every month for a year till I could get housing.
And how long have you been at the Barrett Hotel?
Since December.
Okay, December of this past year?
Yeah.
So a couple of months?
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to take you back to talk about a time in September of 2019. Did you come across something that was concerning to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Did that cause you to contact the police?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to take you to mid-September. Did you get in a truck with a man?
Yes.
All right, guys. This is maybe the most key witness in the entire trial, or one of the witnesses that is the most important. This is the woman who got the SD card. This is huge here, folks. So if you kind of checking out, time to check in.
Okay. Tell the jury all about that. Where were you when it happened?
I was on the 13th thing, Cars on Gamble.
Okay.
Behind like their parking lot is like a road that goes like this. And there's a white building and a big parking lot. And that's where he picked me up at.
Okay. And when you say he, I saw you point. Do you see the gentleman in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And where is he located?
There.
Pointing to the defendant's table? Okay. And you're nodding your head, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When he picked you up, I want to talk to you a little bit about that time in your life. Were you an active drug user?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your drug of choice?
I smoked crack cocaine.
And was that a time in your life that you were actively using?
Yeah.
And when he picked you up, why did you believe you were getting in his car?
Well, at first he stopped and he was looking for I got a lot of like nieces, but they're not blood relation. They're like nieces from the street that I've known for a long time.
Okay.
And he asked if I knew, I can't think of her name, it's been so long. And I was like, yeah. And he asked if I wanted to get in, you know, ride around and see if he can spot her. And I was like, sure, I have nothing else to do, you know.
And when you got in his truck, where'd you go?
We went all over actually. We went and parked down behind the Macaulay baseball field.
Okay, is that by the Sullivan Arena?
Yeah. And then we went over there and we parked over there behind the Sullivan Arena and hung out for about an hour and a half there. And then we drove out to, I guess down by Ship Creek and hung out there.
Were you all drinking?
I was drinking, yeah.
Do you remember what you were drinking?
I was drinking vodka with mixed with 211 blackberry in a Gatorade bottle.
Okay. And was he drinking?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So you drive around. At some point, do you end up at a Shell station?
Yeah. He said that he was leaving town and he'd be gone for like about 2 weeks. And he asked me if I had any money, and I was like, no. And he asked me where I lived, and I said in the tent in the woods. And he asked me by myself, and I was like, yeah. And he said, well, let's stop in the Shell station, see if I could get some money for you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in, and I guess his card didn't work. And then he came back out the truck and he grabbed another one out of the console. That one didn't work. And I dropped when he was in the store, I dropped my phone.
Okay.
And when I went to go reach down, I picked up 2 phones.
Okay.
But I got sick when I picked it up.
And sick to your stomach?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you open it or look at it at that time?
No, it was dead.
Okay. So what'd you do with the phone?
Took it apart and stuck it in my pocket.
Okay. Why'd you take his phone?
Because there was something on there that shouldn't have been on there.
Well, did you know that at the time?
No, but I got sick.
Okay, you had a feeling?
Yeah.
Okay.
But when we were before, right before we pulled it into the Shell, he asked me if I seen his other phone. When we were down at the Sullivan, it sounded like when he closed his door, like something fell out. Mm-hmm. And he said he probably fell out there. But he said that he needed that phone because it was important because his work was on the phone.
Okay. That was after you had his phone in your pocket. He asked you where it was?
Yeah.
And you told him it probably fell out at Sullivan Arena?
Yeah.
Okay. And where did he drop you off that night?
At the Shell station.
Did you ever tell anybody he dropped you back off at Shiloh Baptist Church?
Oh yeah, that's right. No.
Where were you staying at the time?
In Shiloh, in the woods at Shiloh Church. I was living in a tent.
Okay. And do you remember talking to Detective Lee and a Detective Baker?
Yeah.
Okay. At any point, did you ever tell either of those gentlemen that he dropped you back off by the church?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay.
Because he asked me where I stayed, and I told him I lived in the woods in the tent. And he goes, where do you want to get dropped off at? I said at Shiloh Church. I waited till he pulled off before I proceeded to go en route to where my tent was.
Okay. So he drops you off, you wait till he leaves, and then you walk back to your tent?
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to ask you about the things that you remember about him. You've identified him here in court today, but what specifically stood out about the man to you as far as physical features or voice?
His accent.
Okay, and what was it? How would you describe it?
It sounded like European or something.
Was it a strong accent?
Hard to say.
And then what about him physically did you remember?
That he was white and color of his hair and his truck.
Okay. And what did you remember about his truck?
The color and the way that the canopy on the back was.
Okay. And so he drops you off. You then proceed to your tent alone?
Yeah.
Okay. When you get back to your tent, what do you do with the phone?
I grab my cords and my chargers and I walk down to the mattress place. We'll plug in, go charge. And when I've charged, went back to the tent and I had been like up drinking and getting high for like 2 weeks straight.
Okay.
So, and then I turned it on and I was like sober in like less than 5 minutes.
Why?
Because the video, there was 3 days from time September 3rd to the 5th, and there's 46 pictures. And
okay. When you're saying numbers, you said you were drinking and using a lot of drugs at the time. Do you remember exactly how many pictures there were or exactly how many videos there were?
It was just like one whole video, and I think every once in a while he'd like pause it, but I think there's like 46 pictures total.
Okay. And what did these things depict?
Well, it showed him in the hotel room, and then
Judge, we're your press judge.
Me.
Objection was withdrawn.
So can you describe the pictures you saw on the phone?
In the hotel room, it showed her laying on the ground on the rug, and she was like all beat up. I mean, her face was not even recognizable. And he was hitting her and telling her that she isn't going to leave the hotel alive, that he's killing her. And he at one time, she's laying there and her legs.
Tracy Smith, thank you so much for the super chat, Tracy.
And so, yes. If you don't remember, that's okay.
I can't remember. I think it was pretty much him basically recording her.
Okay. And did you watch him put anything else around her throat?
Yeah, he like reached, it looked like he like reached between.
Sorry, guys, this has been happening all day.
She's on, he like puts her on the on the luggage thing.
Okay.
And then he puts a sheet over her.
Okay.
And an empty, like, lavender backpack with all the zippers open. And then it shows him going towards the door again and going back down the hall and to the back.
Is that the last of the photos or were there any other photos?
No, that was the last.
And how did you feel when you found that?
You couldn't recognize her.
Okay, so when you're looking at the pictures, you don't recognize who it is.
No, no. I mean,
it sounds like later upon learning who she was, it made you sick because you had known her.
Yeah.
Okay. In that moment,
I had a doctor appointment.
Before your doctor, do you know somebody named Tracy?
Yeah, Tracy Thompson, my kid's auntie. And she was like,
Objection to hearsay.
I think it's not for the truth of the matter, it's to explain what this witness did next.
Ask a question.
Okay. When you showed it to Tracy, what was her reaction?
She was like, Valerie, that's real, that I don't want to see it,
Sorry, guys. I wish I could fix this.
Not exactly, but I said, Doc, I got something here. I'm pretty sure it's a homicide. I said, you want to look at it? And he's like, I believe you, Valerie. He goes, how do you want to go about it? He goes, you want to call the non-emergency number? And I was like, yeah. And he said, it doesn't affect me like that. It just keeps me awake.
Okay. So where'd you get an SD card?
From Fred Meyer's.
Did you buy it or something else?
I stole it.
Okay. So you stole an SD card from Fred Meyer's. You put it in that phone that you got?
Yeah.
Okay. From the defendant's truck?
Yeah.
And how did you save or preserve the images?
Just went to settings and had them. I had to put them on the pictures one at a time, but the video recording, you just go to and you put like photos and videos, save the SD card.
Okay. So there's a menu that you can scroll down and click save to SD card?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you believe that you saved them all?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was all.
phone, was that the defendant's phone or was that the phone from your boyfriend or something else?
Yeah, that was my phone. Because he said he couldn't, because the defendant.
This kind of sucks because I wish there was something I could do to fix it, but I unfortunately can't.
How did you know that that was the Midtown Marriott?
Because when when he got on Wi-Fi, it's on the phone. It's in,
You said you saw an image of the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Okay. Like when you turned
Yeah, it had when you go onto the Wi-Fi, it said the hotel name, the room number, and who the room was registered under, and it had his name.
and that's why you named the card that?
Yeah.
Baker, and then ultimately Detective Lee pushing you and telling you they didn't believe you about that?
Well, they was like not so much in those words. They're like they got a hold of me like
Oh, that's fun. Cool. You gotta be shitting me.
Was that like, did you pull up the internet in that page?
No, no, it was, he had it all with the recording.
Oh.
It's like he took a picture, like a screenshot of the phone. Yeah.
Of what the
Of him.
hotel was and what the internet password.
Well, like you got your phone and you go on Wi-Fi, and it showed it was like a white background and
Bro, what the fuck is going on?
and it looked like a door, and it had the room number, like the room plate on there. It had Wi-Fi, connect to Wi-Fi at Marriott, and it said the guest is Brian. It had his name.
And that seemed like a screenshot that he had.
Yeah, like he's like as a, I don't know, a souvenir.
I believe that that's all the questions I have for you, Valerie. At this point, Judge, I think. I think we're requesting to break for the day at this point.
Defense wants, to break for the day?
It's move your approach, Judge.
Yes.
That's interesting that the defense doesn't want to do this today.
All right, folks, we're actually moving a lot faster than we thought we would. So in a way, that's good news. And we're going to break for the day. Come back tomorrow at 8:30, please. Jerry?
I assume he's doing cross tomorrow, right? He's not going to waive his cross of this witness. I can't imagine that. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, he's got to do the cross tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
You'll need to come back tomorrow, man.
Okay.
Okay. Be seated. Is there anything else, counsel, that we need to take up today?
Not from the state, Judge.
Okay. See you tomorrow morning.
Okay.
All right, guys. So that's it for today, it appears. I will set this up. What? Are they still talking? I'll set it up for tomorrow at... What time did I set it up for today? 12:30. I'll set it up for 1. Oh my God, I'm going to get a copyright claim for that fucking music. I know it. All right, so I will set it up for tomorrow at 1. Tomorrow at 7, creators who crushed Tim and Lance from Crawl Space Pod, who did one of the first podcasts on Maura Murray. Unless there's like a big key witness on Trachonis, I'm not going there. But if like Kent Mawhinney or someone big in that case testifies, I will go on there. So make sure you have notifications on, even though I know YouTube doesn't always show them. I'll tell you guys this. I appreciate everyone in the chat today. I know today was rough, but you were all respectful and you know, had a respectful conversation. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'll say this. Someone, I guess apparently there was an issue with me saying trigger warning. I'm not going to stop saying trigger warning. Despite it being a murder trial, there are some parts that may affect people more than others. And if there's a part that I think might affect people more than others who might want to turn it off and have a break, I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm not going to stop doing that. We want you to take care of your mental health, and we're going to continue to say that. I'm not going to stop that. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, mods, for doing what you do. If you're on Kick, I believe Missy Mayhem has a show tonight, so make sure to check that out. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you, mods, as always. I think that's it. If I missed a hearing, like if there's something that comes up, I may go live. I never know. But thank you guys. Love you. See you tomorrow at 1 Eastern. I'll set it up for 1 Eastern.